And it is Saturday night. It is time for the Weekly Dig. I am so glad to be here with you all tonight because, yeah, it is time, everyone, it being the time for the show. For those new to the stream, this is a live show. We dig into anime, old and new. I'm Brent. These are my unreal co-hosts. John, say hi, John.
Ooh, hi, John.
And Steve.
Hi. Hang on one second, Lane. I'll be with you one second.
Yeah, oh no. It is Saturday night, and before we dig in, how's your week been, gentlemen?
Long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very long. But I got to see Dune.
Hey, nice.
Excellent. I highly recommend.
Cool. Glad to hear. Looking forward to that one.
I'd say my week's just been eating, more eating,
nice.
Enjoying eating.
Wonderful.
And catching up on anime.
Ah, nice. Cool.
Yeah. So I finally knocked a couple things off of Crunchyroll. I bought into Funimation because I wanted to see the Jobless Reincarnation. So I can't, that's where it lives. I also want to watch Komi-san.
Well,
I can't communicate.
about that.
I can't get there until I get to Netflix.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that might be a wait. That's gonna wait for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see how Funimation plays out after I finish what things are only exclusively Funimation-wise, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
I'll be sure to tell you all about Komi Can't Communicate and hang it over your head every week. So. Hey there, Joyce. Hey, Matt. Good to see you in chat. Welcome.
Brent, how was your week?
Oh, it was a week. Unfortunately, I can't talk too much about it because some of it's work stuff, and some of it's just kind of personal stuff, and just I stuff I can't talk about because of things. Yeah, there's been a lot going on. As an example, on one second. That's bizarre.
As an example, or for example.
For example, yes. So the condo complex that I live in, it turns out that the siding is not up to code. Like when they built it, the codes didn't exist yet. To make it out of code. But as time has gone on, now they're like it needs to be in code, and it's one of those things. It's about like water leaking in, and water leaks in. So they need to, with a lot of these things, if it was built before code, it doesn't matter. But because this is literally like causing water to leak into the building, like, okay, let's fix this and get up to code. So, bright and early Monday morning, a crew came out, started setting up ladders and ripping siding off of the condo complex. And then putting up a whole bunch of insulation and various, stuff up there. And then
sheeting and blah blah.
Yeah, exactly. And then nailing new siding on.
So it was very
from
quiet.
8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day, while I'm trying to work and teach people and have meetings and all that kind of stuff. So that is one of many pieces of this week. So yeah, but it's okay. It's the weekend. I don't want to talk about my bad week. I want to talk about a 14-year-old boy's bad life. And talk a little bit here.
I don't want to be a pilot.
Actually, I want to talk about that.
The robot Shinji.
I want to talk about that because I think this movie does shift things around a little bit. So let's start our dig tonight by analyzing Evangelion 1.11, You Are Not Alone, the first of the Evangelion rebuild films. And it took me a while. Like, I did not really realize until I went back to this. This movie came out in 2007. It's
Good
been
Lord.
that long, and the final movie just came out this year. It's been a wait. So yes, so I watched 1.11, which was the home video release, which has a few extra things thrown in there because That's how you do things. That's how you market things in Japan. Is
I watched 1.0.
okay, so we may have something to talk about. We'll see. There may be some differences in that.
Or I might have nothing to talk about while you guys talk about it. Damn it.
So yeah, so 1.0, for those not familiar, 1.0 is the original theatrical release. They did a 1.01, I think, which was a later movie, like 6 weeks later. They did another movie release, I think, and they got in and tweaked some things by then. Corrections and fixes and such. And then 1.11 was the home video release, which adds, I think, 3 minutes of extra little footage, bits, pieces. And apparently it's just like fleshing things out, adding, just, kind of rounding out the movie, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Shinji's a woman, and she wants to pilot the Eva.
Right.
Well,
pretty
what
much.
the?
Yes.
Well, that's just changed everything.
Right. So, again, to be clear, I finally finished watching Evangelion TV. I think it was earlier this year. Not that long ago. Having watched it originally, like 20 years ago, I don't know, whatever it was, about when it came out over here. But like I watched like the first just like 6 or 7 episodes, so I never finished it back then. So finally got all the way through that. I have not seen Death and Rebirth or End of Evangelion, any of the other Eva movies. Steve, what's your history with Evangelion?
Let's see here. I've watched. I saw what we were watching tonight, and I don't quite remember which version it was at Otakon. I want to say it was probably what I watched on Amazon Prime, the 1.01. By the way, folks, aren't you so glad that this is very, very crystal clear as to which version is
Exactly.
which?
It's great.
Yeah.
Clear as mud. Like 1.1. I like you should see me the other night. I was like, okay, I'm gonna need to find this. It's probably gonna wait a minute. There's like 5 versions of this. What the hell? So anyway, so I remember seeing it, but there were things that I didn't remember, like the rainbows, and I watched, of course, Evangelion, the original series back in the day.
I think you mean Evangelion.
Evangelion.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and Adult Swim and all that. And of course, I am in the faction that had the following response on the very last episode. Hate you all. I invested myself in this. It was so cool. Why? So yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think I watched Death or Rebirth. And I think I watched the second one of the Rebuild series. I'm not 100% sure. But I totally love the fan parody of Evangelion Re-Death.
Okay.
Which is what spawned AMV Hell way back when.
Gotcha.
For those of you who haven't seen it, you can find it on YouTube. It's quite hilarious.
Cool. John, yourself?
I think it was. Gosh, it had to have been 3 years ago. I think it was after Star City, one of the Star Cities.
Okay.
You had talked about some mecha stuff, and I think David had done a mecha panel too. And Eva had come up, and I was like, I've never seen Evangelion, so I should probably sit down and watch this. And I got through the whole TV series, and just at the other side of it was like, oh dear. And I thought, well, I'll give the movie. Maybe the movie will help me wrap my head around why I don't understand why people like this show. And I got done 1.0, and I'm like, nope, still nothing cures this problem. So I've now watched the movie twice.
Okay.
I can't say it's really changed my opinion.
Okay. All right.
Fair.
I mean, I really liked elements of it, but
yeah,
sure.
The core issue is
story,
father and son story.
Just wait.
Yeah.
Because as we get into later movies in this, Anyway, and for those not familiar, like the Rebuild movies do go off in very different directions from the TV show. But the first movie doesn't dramatically.
Right.
So this Rebuild movie is pretty much a retelling of the first 8 episodes of original Evangelion. But let's talk about that a little bit, because it opens with some of these iconic shots from the beginning of the first episode. And obviously, they've all been redone. There are vastly more tanks, vastly more of everything in all of this. And also, the water is red.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
What are your thoughts on that? What were your reactions to seeing that the sea is red?
Blood.
Done screwed up.
Lots of blood. You know, like a lot of people have died to make this area that red. That was my first thought.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, it's interesting. The big fan theory around this is that the Rebuild movies are technically a sequel. Because from what we know of some of the plot, this is all happening again, basically.
Right.
Not saying that's true, but I think it's interesting that Anno chose this particular color to sort of get that into people's minds, saying it's possible that we're, in a loop, basically, on all of these events. And the reason I like that idea is because, again, I don't know that he is literally saying that, but it is such a thing to get fans talking about. And it also perfectly fits in. That's what Rebuild is. Rebuild literally is redoing it again. So it's kind of like that. Yeah, that is kind of funny. He would do that. Yeah, exactly. This could be a post Third Impact storyline. It's possible. But then we also see what's interesting is that I'm sorry, John. You're gonna say something?
Well, I was going to say, in this beginning section too, is like I didn't remember from the TV series. I don't think it existed in that. There's a giant chalk outline.
Yes, there is.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I had to laugh when I saw it. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, this is where this angel died.
Yeah.
Right
in
here.
the side of a. Yeah.
This is where the wrongful shooting happened. Okay.
Yeah. It's like, let's make this half a mile big chalk outline. Be like, yeah, I think that's where the murder occurred.
Right.
Well,
Really?
It's funny.
like that right there. Awesome.
So what I thought of it as one of those Pueblo Indian, or not Pueblo Indian, but American Indian, the
Nazca lines or something.
Yeah, how they made the big fixtures and
Geoglyphs.
Geoglyphs, and how some people think that that's aliens. So maybe this was a marker of the angels, kind of a thing going on. And if and when they showed water being red. If you haven't seen this before, then that might not mean anything to you, but just something of curiosity of why is that red? To me, it's just kind of like, okay, well, we've killed an angel, and we know that when the angel dissipates, it turns into a blood rain. So did we just kill an angel?
Yeah.
And that's what that is.
Yep. Exactly. It actually might
And
be.
go ahead. We don't know whether it's also a toxicity issue too.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like this could be an indicator. Here's a destroyed city, and now as a result of fighting, all this water isn't just blue, lovely ocean. It's all just this toxic soup. Weapons have gone off. This thing has died, and it's hell, who knows what kind of ecological disaster has resulted from that as well.
Absolutely. It's also possible, and again, I have deliberately not gone into all of the here's what Anno says he was doing, because whoever knows. But it's also possible that boy, I completely lost track of what I was going to say. That the exactly what you just said. Yeah, I'm going to come back to that thought at some point. It's going to come back to me, but it's not there yet.
So speaking of thought processes, for some reason just now I got Red Wine by UB40 just popping in my head.
So Anna was listening to that. Was like, red wine. Okay, we'll go with the red. We'll go with the red water.
The chalk outline actually reminded me a lot of the CERN Giant, the various chalk outlines in Britain, where Paleolithic folks would draw a giant chalk outline on a hill. Yep. Which again, it's kind of similar to the Nazca lines, but more clearly done by somebody as a symbol of a person or a thing.
Yeah.
So who knows? And so we see the stuff. What interests me is that the visuals in the original TV show, while it showed things sort of falling apart and things, all the stuff underwater and so forth, it wasn't as chaotic as
Right.
the imagery here. Where you see, let's see if I can get a better shot. Yeah, of all the trains just sort of up like toys, upended.
Yeah.
All this stuff. And so very quickly, Anno is saying, I'm not doing a shot-for-shot remake of Evangelion here. I am changing things around a little bit. That said, a lot of it is shot-for-shot remake of the first episode. And understandably, because it is iconic, right? And a lot of it does communicate these important things with Shinji and all that good stuff.
And I think too, for people who, if you're going to have the EVA group telling non-EVA people, will be like, "Oh, this show is great and it was awesome, and you should see the movie." Obviously, this helps to be like, okay, let's seat these people who don't know what's going on in the world, and then now we can tell we've gotten the people who are big fans. This will be familiar. People who aren't, they'll be engaged, and then we'll move from this direction forward.
Yeah. And like it's not like all of this stuff was thrown in there at random in the original TV series. Like it's all relevant to the plot.
Right.
So that's important there too. And you see way more airships as well as before.
Yes.
Which again is like, we have the budget now. Yay. Japan has more than 4 ships in its air force or whatever it was. But yeah, otherwise very similar. All the way through, with a few tweaks, which I actually really did appreciate. When the angel reappears, originally it was just a single frame of the one head and the other head kind of behind it in the TV show to indicate you're regenerating. And this is literally an animated shot of the second head kind of growing out from behind the first one to show it's regenerating. When I first saw that the first time, I was like, why does it have 2 heads? Like, did it have one head before? What's going on here? So it's like, thank you for the extra communication there. And then...
Again, when you're flush in the budget, you can do
right, exactly, yes. And then our first, I think, really major change, which is the car ride. Because originally this is really a goofy scene where Misato is like, oh, this is a new shirt, and oh, I feel terrible, and the goofy like jazz music is playing in the background as she's talking, and that's gone. Instead, she's just talking to Shinji about, hey, how you doing? Are you okay? And it really kind of drew into me how much Anno was kind of rethinking the relationships here, where I think Misato is much more I think Anno is trying to further draw the line on how Misato is seeing herself as a mother figure for Shinji.
Yeah.
And trying to do that earlier on here than she was earlier in the show, which again I think was appreciated at this point in the story.
Yeah, there was a lot less it's a lot less funny about Misato than what I thought I remembered from the TV series, where it was just kind of like, oh, she's this carefree kind of person, and it's she's not really very serious, and then she gets more serious as things go on. It's like, no, she tries to be somewhat a little lighter for Shinji, and and trying to be somewhat helpful to him, but she is thoroughly through and through absolutely serious the whole damn way around. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, given the important role she plays, that actually makes a lot more sense. Yeah, I feel like that's a better way of using her character than the TV series did.
And when you have less time, you can't show every single potential aspect of a character.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
You cut through the treacle and get to the heart.
Exactly. And then again, otherwise pretty much the same. And we get our Anne of Green Gables reference there, which I still love. They redesigned
his heaven and all is right in the world.
Yep. And we continue on through, and we get the reveal of Tokyo 3 underground, and then again, pretty much all this is pretty much line by line.
Have I ever asked you before, Brent?
Yeah.
What the heck is the Geo Front?
That's a good question.
Shinji's like, it's the Geo Front. And I'm like, I forgot every single time I hear that.
Yeah.
Never look it up. I have no idea.
Me too. I assume it just means a physical location on Earth that they are using as a staging area of some kind. I don't know.
I always thought it was just the dome that everything is under.
Okay. Yeah, possible.
I just like the whole journey to the geofront, which is also interesting, and how they went through the mechanics of that and the animation of the mechanics, which I really loved.
Okay. Okay. A geofront is the publicly used term for a massive subterranean cavity within the universe. So in universe, the powers that be say we have these things called geofronts, which are these giant subterranean cavities. Of course, they're not natural.
Right.
You know, the government suggests that they're natural, but they're not. But yeah, that's that.
Not with that many layers of armor. No.
Right, exactly. Right. Yes. So we learned that.
How convenient! We found a giant place to put a bunch of stuff, and it's armored.
Yeah.
This Earth works like that.
Totally.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, the descent into Tokyo 3. I agree with you, Steve. I love that kind of back and forth between the two of them, where Misato is trying to sort of understand Shinji a little bit. Shinji's very closed off, but they're figuring each other out a little bit here. And then we get the classic scene, getting the robot Shinji. I remember this differently. The way I remember this is that Gendo says, get in, you will be the pilot. And Shinji goes, I can't. And Gendo just, Gendo says, Shinji asks, why did you bring me? Because I have a use for you. And then Shinji says, I can't. And Gendo just turns and says, all right, bring out Ray, basically. In this version, he goes, I can't, and Gendo goes, you will be instructed. It's like, that's an olive branch. Gendo's actually interacting with Shinji a bit more in this version. He's actually saying, no, like, I'm not throwing you in there with nobody. There's a whole crew here. I found that really interesting, that already we're starting to tweak a little bit the relationship between these two.
It almost makes Gendo lovable.
No.
No. Yeah. Not even remotely. Almost.
Not even remotely. Well, and also one of the things I appreciate about this is originally when Shinji says, I'm not going to pilot, Ritsuko says, all right, well then, prep Unit 1. Misato freaks out and goes, how can you do that? We don't have a pilot. Do you mean Ray? Which I always thought was a weird reaction, because of course she knows that. Like, of course she knows they have a backup, and all that's gone now. She just goes, he turns to Shinji and goes, really? Like, are you going to let this happen? Like, are you cool with this? So I'm glad to see that kind of reworked a little bit, to say that Misato actually knows what's going on. Yay!
She is kind of an important member of this team, so she has been briefed on stuff. Right. Yeah.
Totally.
All those papers on your desk. You should read them.
Maybe.
Does she necessarily know about the cloning tank?
Well, yeah. Things are happening.
There's stuff going on. Large quantities of Tang are being made.
Exactly. Robot. One of my favorite EVA AMVs is set to Weird Al's I Think I'm a Clone Now.
I think I'm a clone now.
Yeah, and of course all of that.
Nice.
And again, otherwise very similar to the original sequence. Ray comes in. Now, I have a question for you all. Because they talk about this a little later on. Do you think Gendo really intended to have Ray pilot Unit 1?
No, this is emotional extortion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is just his character type to be like, oh, fine, you don't want to get in the thing? I'm going to send this injured woman in there. Mm-hmm. Because, she's going to die, and it's going to be your fault, Shinji.
Yep.
It's like, this is just...
Look.
Fatherly. It's a very fatherly, loving moment.
I was going to say, now we all know that Gendo and Kari is just, Father of the Year material.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
But Shinji, one of the things that got me in not a good way was, and I know that it was pacing. It's about pacing. You have to get to the thing to get to the thing to get to the thing. And right off the bat, Shinji does his thing, just like in the series. I want to get in. I wanted to go to town and get about some power converters. He's doing that stuff, and and he's doing it, and I don't understand what.
Why would you love me, Daddy?
Yeah. Now he's not the
daddy
time for
issues.
that. Yeah, now he's not the time for that.
Yeah.
But no, as soon as Gendo says, "Okay, bring Ray out," and they bring out on the stretcher, she's like, like practically screaming and blood and just bandaged up, and I love the look on Shinji's face because he knows at that point he's been blackmailed. He knows it. Like, you can tell he knows it. And that is like the biggest FU face I've seen Shinji do ever. To his father's like, fine, got it, got the message, get the girl back, But
and it's rough.
On her part too, Ray doesn't. Generally, Ray is a very flat effect kind of person.
Really?
Because that's just the way she is.
Yep.
And it's like, I wondered when I watched this, and I think back on having watched the TV series, like, Ray's hamming it up.
Oh.
I don't doubt she's injured. I do not doubt that. But
do you think Gendo ordered her to ham it up?
I think he did, because when he says get Ray, it's not like they all stand to the side and 20 minutes later she comes out of sick bay. It's like, get Ray, and the door opens, and here she is. She's like, trying to get up. And it's like, dude, Ray suffers silently, like, in the whole TV series.
Yeah.
She's relatively silent, whether she's in pain, whether, whatever's going on. She's very flat effect. And here it's just all of a sudden she's like, Dame Edna Dench, coming up out of there like Judy Dench, coming out like, oh, it's so much pain. It's like, yes, this is great. Because again, you're just putting that knife right into Shinji. Be like, look, the injured girl, she's dying. Are you going to do this to her? You're like, So I think Gendo planned it.
Wow.
I think he ordered Ray to do it.
Wow.
It was conveniently available.
Yeah.
She would have done it.
She would have done it.
Because she says later on, it's like, because I was asked to. Because Gendo asks her to do things, and she does them. Not that specific scene, but she's referring to piloting the EVA unit. Why does she fight?
Yeah.
Because he asked me to. And it's like,
Yeah. It's a good call. That's really interesting.
It's another lovely character trait. What makes Gendo Ikari so darn huggable.
And so let's
right around the neck.
Hearts.
Hearts, yeah, more like
exactly. So let's bring that up real quick. One of the things that made Gendo such a remarkable character at the time, which I've shared with you guys before, but just for the audience, is that Evangelion is very much kind of a commentary on classic mecha tropes. And in classic mecha, you have the trope of the kindly father figure who builds the giant robot and hands it off to the protagonist in episode 1. The uncle, father, grandfather, scientist guy who hands it off. And Gendo is very deliberately the exact opposite of that trope. And so it's one of the reasons why people, I think, in America, and people who aren't familiar with those tropes are like, why is he so a jerk? And people in Japan and others, like, they see he's a jerk, but they're not like screaming and yelling about it because they're like, oh, it's reversing the trope. Like, that's why he's that way. So Gendo is a lot. he's a hard character to sort of,
He's Walter White before Walter White.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that kind of helps to explain where a lot of these things are coming from, where they're going so hard into a-hole territory for Gendo.
They are.
Because it's, again, it's like, isn't that hilarious that this guy's a jerk and giving the mecha to the young boy?
Which, I mean, I think if you're going to have somebody like, was it Tetsujin 28? Grandpa makes the fighting war robot or whatever, and the kid ends up with a controller. Yeah. And it's like, I liked the way that Gundam did it because it's, it's still the getting the robot.
Yeah.
Right.
But, it's like, you have the creation of this Gundam, and you know Amuro Ray where the creation came from. You know how his father is intimately involved with the creation of this device, and he gets grief from like the military higher ups to get in the robot.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you still have the kindly sort of father inventor, and then you've got other circumstances that intervened. It's like,
well,
Gendo's just a guy.
Well,
He's a guy.
Well, in Gundam, they want him out, right? Like,
Yeah.
the military is like, what the heck are you doing in this machine? Why are you piloting it? And everyone around is like, well, everyone else is dead. Like, so you better be the one. One of the I would say weaknesses Evangelion has always had is that is in this opening sequence where if they had better established that Shinji knows exactly what this unit is and means. Right. He's read the newspapers. He knows if he gets in that thing, he's going to die. And he knows that these things are a slim chance at best. And yes, the EVAs are technically like secret and so forth, but information is out there, right? The other kids in the class know this is going on.
Yeah.
So the idea is that Shinji is the way I always interpret it is that Shinji sees this thing and he's like, I can't do that thing. I am not, I refuse to take on that job because I know exactly what it entails. Us watching it without that context, he's offered the opportunity to pilot this giant robot, and yeah, obviously big bad things are happening. But it looks like, well, why wouldn't you? Like, there's no reason for you not to. So that is a problem.
Well, I think, too, when you have Amuro Ray, he's watching all hell breaking loose.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? There's this in the middle of what's going on, and it's like, presumably Shinji, when he gets there, wherever he has come from to here, was not a giant cataclysmic war zone.
Right, exactly.
So it's, from... at least from my perspective watching it, I'm sure a lot of other people's perspective watching, it's like, here you got this kid who's come from boarding school. Yeah. It was like, oh, I've been off in the country in Hokkaido. I've been enjoying the snow. It's great. What's going on over here? Oh, there's a giant robot. I have to kill things? What? Huh? Okay.
And further, like, he went from that, he was in the middle of a fight there where things were crashing down around him. And now he's been taken down into the, sub basement of this giant facility where it's safe. Yeah. So, okay, great, you're taking care of me and everything's safe. Like, why would I now go back into the danger?
Right, yeah. So I saw the big thing that almost landed on me, and I watched it, like, crush a 25-ton aircraft thing, and now you want me to go after that thing that crushed a 25-ton thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's not even talk about barely surviving when a sports car gets nearly nuked by an N2 mine. Like, what kind of mine is a nuclear explosion on it? Like, it's a hell of a landmine.
Exactly.
I love how Mazan is going, oh no, they're not going to use that. I would, if I was Shinji, use what? What are you talking? Get down. And it's like, no, you know what? I'm going back to Hokkaido. Right. Get drunk at Sapporo until this is all done.
I'm swimming back if I have to.
Yeah. No, and no.
No, exactly. But of course, he does agree to go in, and we get a very extensive scene of them prepping the Evangelion and doing
unbolting things,
all the bolts
sliding over here and everything there. Yeah.
And again, this was an iconic scene initially, and a lot of that iconic stuff is there, but it does go on for a bit. And I do think, and this is one of those things where I think this is also a bit of Godzilla fandom coming back in, of all of the, all the tanks lining up, preparing to fire Godzilla, and, getting all of the, and we see this later, you always have to have the one sequence where you electrify all of the electrical fences against Godzilla. Yep. And all that prep work. So there was a little bit of that, kind of the spectacle of all of the technology going on. But rewatching, I was like, can we get to the fight, please? Now, can we move on a little bit?
I get it. Let's start throwing punches. Come on.
Yeah. Well, and again, with all the money, you've got everybody who's like the super fan is like just salivating in the theater while like, oh, look at that! Oh, that's so cool! Watch the thing slide forward, the button, the things come off. That's amazing. Like, yeah, okay, fan kids, just settle in the back there.
Exactly. And then then the Eva pops up, and we get, again, same exact sequence. The only change here I noticed, which takes a while to show up, is when the Eva goes berserker. It's a lot more vocal this time around.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, in the TV series, there's a few groans here and there, but it is just like the entire time.
Yeah.
And they did away with the whole eating thing.
The whole what? Sorry.
Eating thing. Yeah.
Was that? I was gonna say you might have to wait another movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're
Because
holding
I was
back a
waiting
little
for that too, and I was just like, wait a minute, I thought I remember. Oh, maybe I should remember later. I shouldn't be remembering that now. I should remember that later.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, otherwise, fights, and then we very quickly get a completely new scene. Well, new scene in the sense that this is in the series much later. Shinji in the train car, talking to himself.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
And I think this doesn't come in until like episode 16 or something in the original TV series.
Yeah, it's a while before that happens. That whole thing happens.
Which I think was clever for them to go back and say, this is a really effective way of kind of getting inside Shinji's head. So let's start layering that into the story earlier on. And I love how it starts by hearing Shinji's mother and father talking about, who's it going to be, is it Shinji or Ray, whatever. And it goes on, and it gets weirder and weirder because they're referring to her as Ayanami and him as Ikari and all these things. Like, what the hell is going on? And then he wakes up and you're like, oh. It's not a memory.
It's not a memory. Yeah.
That was pretty cool. And then Unfamiliar Ceiling. And then we get the new conference room. So no longer the holograms. What do you guys think about that? I like the holograms.
I did too.
I was to say it. I'm just Eva is just a thing to me. So
Okay.
I like that there were differences that gave me something else to like focus on. So it's like
Sure.
I took what they gave me and said, okay, cool, good enough. It'll keep me invested in another 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. And then they're cleaning up, new suits, so forth and so on. We do drop a few new things here, where again they start to rework things. As I recall in the original, they're not talking about Lilith this early in the show. They're not talking about any of their later plans. They're just basically, Gendo, keep doing your thing. Peace out.
Yeah.
So again, I think smart to start weaving some of those plot lines in earlier on, because again, partly the vast majority of the audience, they already know. There's no reason to keep it secret. And then again, all of the sort of connection bits as folks are starting to connect what's going on. We get Shinji going home with Misato, not like that, but kind of.
Yeah, that whole thing. I'm still surprised that I still got a good guffaw over the can scene.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll get there in a minute. As Misato more or less adopts Shinji, I still laughed over the let's go and stock up on food, and they go to like 7-Eleven, and it's like
Right.
okay, not what I thought. They rattle home. We get again the iconic rising of Tokyo 3 scene in the sunset, which is again gorgeous scene. Also important because these are CGI buildings, and so this is Studio Kara showing off. Okay, this is clearly CGI, and how well can we make this integrate into the show?
Yeah.
I think this was a strong way of kind of putting that in there. And then then they go home. Shinji crosses the Rubicon into home, and we get kind of the one goofy scene with Misato as you were saying earlier, where she's drinking. We also get, I had forgotten about this, as Shinji looks around the whole environment, he sees the block of ice, and which is fine, and then Doritos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so Frito-Lay paid for some product placement in Evangelion. Good to know. Good to know.
And Kieran paid some cash into it too.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Actually, that's Sapporo, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
Yubu? I think it's Sapporo.
Yeah, I think it is.
Well, to say the one where he's looking between the cans, it says Kieran.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so Misato does as Misato does.
I really thought she was just gonna belch and still do the thing. I really thought she was gonna be blah 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 blah. Here you go. Cut loose, little Shinji. Come on.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, have a beer, kid. You're gonna die anytime soon.
You might die in the morning, literally.
Right, exactly.
Good luck, Shinji. You've done well. I'll most likely kill you in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Exactly. But meanwhile, here's my penguin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's Pen.
Yep. And then Shinji pops up, shall we say, and yells. And as I recall, and I'm trying to remember how the joke ran in the original TV series. Was it Toothpicks originally?
Toothpicks.
It was Toothpicks in the original. Okay. Yeah.
No, I remember that part.
Yeah. Just so you all know, wait for later on. The joke comes back, which is kind of fun. Different character.
Good joke never dies.
Exactly. Yes. But that is just, and I love that joke because it is an animator's joke, very much.
Yes.
Playing around with positioning and so forth, and just waiting for how folks are gonna react to things, kind of like the Simpsons movie.
Yes.
Yeah. And then going more into sort of Shinji psychology, Misato trying to reach out to Shinji, and then of course, you did good, kid. Whack. And down he goes in the schoolyard. This is, I think, one of the things that the movie suffers from, is that we see so little of his schoolmates.
Yeah.
And so I think they do as good a job as they can given the runtime, but it really feels like they kind of come out of nowhere. Again, they kind of, Shinji gets beat up, and we never really get any interaction with him and any of the other students. You don't really get a sense of, okay, does he know these people? Have they had any interaction before? Do they have interactions later? Right. It just kind of feels a little out of context, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, up to this point, I don't even remember. I don't remember anybody being like, okay, they talk about his apartment. Oh, you're in block 6 or whatever. You got a place to yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're going to come live with me. Okay, Misato, that's cool. I don't remember anybody in there being like, we've already got you enrolled in school. Your ID is at home.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Or something, you know what I mean? It's like, they mentioned none of that. And then next thing you know, there's a kid. I've seen it before, but I had the same thought in my head when I got to this again, where I'm like, what's he doing at school?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's weird. Was
he walking by and like somebody's just kicking the crap out of him, or what's going on? How's this happen?
There's that 1 nanosecond scene where he's laying in the bed listening to his cassette player, digital cassette player.
Mm-hmm.
And
that Walkman's worth a fortune now.
And he's looking at his school bag, and you actually see
good point.
says school transfer papers.
You're right.
So
So I never noticed that.
So that's the setup for the scene. But yeah, it's still kind of like, all right, you're right though. You're kind of like going, okay, does he walk in and everyone just kind of looks down, and then the dude pops up and pops him one? No, it's just, oh, okay, there we are. He's on the ground now. Done. And then the one other dude's just like, oh, don't mind him just because he clocked you one. His little sister got hurt in the fight. It's okay. No, Shinji's like, that would have been me.
Yeah, so we didn't have any context to what it's like. What was the introduction like? Hey, kids, here's a new transfer student. He pilots an Eva. Like that big battle last time that destroyed like a quarter of the city. Introduce yourself, son. And then everybody's in there like, we're gonna kill him. They didn't have that context.
Yeah.
And Shinji just standing up there at the front of the class. Because actually, how would you say that? Hi, I'm the harbinger of doom. You're all gonna die by the end of this. So I'm not gonna bother you to get to know you.
Yep.
So,
hi, I piloted the Eva. I'm so sorry I killed all your friends and family. I'm going to sit in the back.
Yeah. I like watching movies and sunsets on the beach.
I like smooth jazz and ice cream. Oh, okay.
And I like playing track 25 and 26 over and over and over again.
Someone should totally do this. You know, she goes and does this whole introduction. And now, what's a wacky fact about you? You know? It's like,
Well, I kill things.
yeah, pretty much.
I don't want to pilot a robot because every time I do, it kills people.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, well.
Oh, you're him.
Yeah.
What's your favorite drink? Tang. Shh, not the litter.
Yeah, and so we just, again, more of the same. We just kind of chug along through the story. And then Ray finally shows up and starts talking to Shinji to tell him that they need to go back to Nerve. And this is where Shinji, I think, is a little bit of, oh, there's a connection with somebody. There's somebody I can actually talk to that person. What a thought. Which is where we get the scene with this is the fourth angel, right? I think.
I think so.
Yeah. The Squid Angel, I always call it. And again, pretty much exactly the same as they go all the way through. I'm trying to remember anything here really that was significantly different. No, this was a little different. I felt this time, and maybe this is just, it's been a while since I remember this. It feels in this version that Shinji is a little more together than he was in the TV series. I felt like in the TV series version, he was kind of dead inside, you know, just fire, fire, fire. And then he sees his schoolmates and lets them in and just kind of freaks out and goes at them. But in that middle sequence, it feels like he's more thinking through the consequences of what's going on in the situation. His facial expressions just seem a little bit more focused and a little bit more thoughtful. Again, I don't know. But it felt like he was kind of broken out of that moment. And obviously he's still freaking out in moments and he's still reacting strongly. But it felt like there's a little bit more, okay, you know, I understand the score here, and I'm reacting to the situation. I'm reacting to the variables in the situation instead of just this great danger in front of me. I don't know. Where was Shinji living before he got involved with Nerve? That's a good question, Captain These. I don't know where Shinji was living. That is a very fair question.
I just presume boarding school. I mean, I don't know whether they ever fleshed it out, at least in the anime version.
Yeah, it certainly, as far as I know, it's never, like, addressed in the animated versions. But I'm sure there's some document somewhere.
He lives in a place where there's a lot of crosses.
Yes, exactly.
There you go,
A
Captain.
lot of duffel bags.
Yeah.
And so he takes it out in the last second, as of course he must, as a mecha pilot. And Misato's pissed off at Shinji. This is a scene that, and this is a whole sequence that I didn't get when I first watched Evangelion, why Misato was so frustrated with Shinji's behavior. Because he complied, and he's obviously having a rough time of it, but he's still compliant, and she's not happy about that. And the thing is, and it's like she's angry at his emotional reaction to this, and I think he wants to run away and so forth. And I think, I'm not sure, you could see this as a commentary on the post-war generation versus the following generation in Japan, where Misato's perspective is, we sacrifice everything for the good of everyone, and if you agree to do something, you do it. And you do it without complaining, and you are signed up for the job. And the fact that Shinji isn't wholly committed does not align with her worldview. Whereas from Shinji's perspective, it's like, well, you know, I understand intellectually why this is a good idea, but just my heart's not in it. And I'm okay with that. That's just where I am right now. But Misato just cannot see it that way. I don't know, maybe stretching. But that's kind of what I got out of that sequence. I don't know.
It's interesting because I mean that meshes up with what's going on in that scene pretty nicely.
Yeah.
Because I never haven't seen it twice. I was just looking at the scene like, she's mad that he got the kids inside, so he saved them, and he still won. Now, mind you, we damaged the Eva again. You know what I mean? And it's as we learn later on, they do get damaged, and they do have problems fixing all the parts of them.
Very much
So that, you know, I was like, maybe she's just kind of pissy because he didn't like immediately comply, immediately do the thing, and then stop the angel, and now she's upset.
And granted, he completely ignored her orders for most of that battle. So there's some of that coming on.
Yeah, but I you know, that easily could be what you're saying, Brent. That would make a lot of sense in that context.
Possible.
It's kind of like when a coach benches you because you didn't do what the coach said, even if the coach is wrong.
Right. Yeah. Could be. I don't know. But Shinji runs away.
Or does he?
Yeah. As Shinji is very good at doing. As he just goes off, place by
Goes AWOL.
Yeah, exactly. To the Pleasure District.
But not really.
Well, yes, that's the thing. And I do appreciate the revelation on this, where he spent all this time just kind of away, doing all this stuff. And then he finally says, you know, all right, fine, take me back. And you see all the men in black just arrayed, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Spies come out.
They didn't. No, that didn't happen. Yeah. My question is,
What would have happened if he had gotten a boat to Hawaii?
yeah, who knows?
Show over. Damn it.
Just waiting for them to have little, electronics over their eyes and little red dots, you know, coming out.
Oh, jeez.
Wouldn't surprise me.
It's Lenny and Squiggy again.
Exactly.
You guys found new work. Good for you. Thought Squiggy was dead. Oh.
Yeah, and so again, just kind of more general stuff. We get, of course, the pool scene because we can't.
And I meant to ask.
Yeah.
When Shinji gets to that, which it reminds me of, like, you know, Akira-esque moment when he gets to the roadblock, and the bridge is obviously out.
Yeah.
And it's not presumably recently out.
True. Yeah.
But it's out. Which means if you're in the city trying to get to the outside world, is there an outside world? You know what I mean? It's like that was the thought as he gets up there. I'm like, wow, you know, they plan to kind of catch him there, and I get how this is. He can't get to the outside world. And I thought maybe the bridge is down because there isn't an outside world. This is like the last bastion of mankind, and that, you know, for some reason the rest of Japan is like desolate wasteland, and so they cut the bridge so nobody in the city can get out to see what's going on. I'm like,
well, that's kind of like what it is in the original TV series. I mean, that's actually when they go to the massive graveyard of all the Japanese dead, and they pretty much say, I think in the anime, some form, I can't remember, but basically Japan is really reduced to pockets here and there in Tokyo. Tokyo 3.
Yeah.
That's really it.
Yeah.
And that the third impact was something huge because remember Misato's story in the television series that her parents were in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Is that
yeah,
it?
at
And
the
and
when
that's
the
how
whole
she
thing
got the
goes
little-
off.
Yeah.
Well, you know, she says, you know, half of humanity died just in the impact. You know, much less everything that came afterwards.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and you got the symbolism too. You know, bridges out, nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Which I think also ties into what's going on.
Although
He had just walked to the left of the bridge being out. He could have walked up the hillside and around that block.
There we
But,
or we could have had a really short movie and have Shinji just stand up when he's on the other side of the fence near the cliff and just slip.
Yeah. No.
I did want to pilot it.
Shinji's dead. Okay, just get another candidate.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are so
Is
many.
Oscar Langley available?
Yeah. And for what it's worth, and for those, you know, curious about, like, you know, why again is Nerve spending so much time on this? Because no one can synchronize with the Evas. You know, you Ray can barely do it. And she's had like 9 months of training or something. I'll bet it's 9 months because that's symbolic.
Yeah, I was about to say, wow.
I'll bet.
What a pregnant comment to make.
Exactly. But yeah, there's, that's the reason why they're not just, letting him go, or whatever. Like, they'll say you can go, but they don't really mean it.
You can go, but this leg shackle. No, go ahead, Shinji. But I'm chained. No, go.
Exactly.
I see you're not leaving, so obviously you're staying. But the leg shackle. We don't want to hear it.
Yeah. And then again, we get the scene with Gendo rescuing Ray. And it's still... I still cringed when the ejection plug ejected. And slams all around the room. You're like, ow. Every bone in her body.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I also thought it was very interesting that when the EVA unit goes out of control,
which is one
does it just like slam its head in the wall? No. What's it start doing? It sees Gendo behind the glass and starts punching the crap out of it.
Yep.
I think there's a little something going on there.
Yep.
It's also could be a jerk to the AI and the humans alike.
Yeah, well, I think that was Ray's comment about Gendo.
AIs. We'll get there.
Yes.
Well, the other interesting thing is that, as I recall in the original TV series, in this version, it punches and then ejects and starts hitting its head against the wall. In the original TV series, I recall, it's hitting its head against the glass.
Against the walls.
Yeah. So I'm not sure why they changed that, because that seemed like a much more powerful imagery of that. But I don't know.
Well, if you have the budget, you could do two things. You could have punching, then you could go over to it, bashing its head, versus like trying to, cycle it down.
I think in the original TV series they did both. Like, it started punching and then it did the head. I think
it did that head thing.
But I'm not sure. It's a good point. I'm not sure if it just did the head the entire thing. I don't know. Uncertain. Actually, no, this makes sense, because what's happening is, when it starts punching, and then Ray ejects, and now the EVA is just on autopilot, essentially, so it no longer has the focus. It's just insane,
No longer has the focus to kill.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Great.
Go Ray.
Yeah, exactly. Ray's a fine, normal, average 14-year-old girl.
When she's off her meds, look out.
And so we get Misato and Ritsuko talking, and Ritsuko's little suggestion of, it's a shame Shinji can't interact with anybody. Why don't you have Shinji go over and hand over Ray all of her ID cards? Because we sure don't have time for that, do we? It's good on you, Ritsuko, coming up with that.
And it's not foreshadowing of what Gendo said. It's time for them to meet. That matchmaker in hell.
Yeah, exactly. Shinji goes over, and I'm gonna have to fast forward over some of this stuff. And partly because, again, I don't think anything changes in this. It's the same classic scene of all of that. I do think they draw it out a bit more in this scene. I think they make it even a little more awkward than it is in the TV show, as Shinji is nervously apologizing for all the stuff going on. But I do appreciate how well this scene does demonstrate Ray's character. That she, you go to her home, and we will do that, where he enters her home, and it's a bed and a fridge, and that's it. Pretty much.
Which arguably that would have been, if Shinji had not moved in with Misato, that would have been his place as well. You know what I mean? Because I really doubt he would have been set up with a schwanky apartment. It, would have been as bare bones as that.
Yeah.
With a lot less bloody rags.
Right. Yeah.
So I gotta tell you, if that had been me, if I had been Shinji and I walked into that, first of all, I wouldn't have walked into apartment
Right.
anyway. But walking in there and just seeing like the blood on the pillow and the bloody bandages and something of a mess and how everything's dark and grimy and everything, I would have been like, oh, I'm in the kill room. I'm just gonna leave this shit here and just get out.
Yeah.
Oh, what level of Saw film is this?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm gonna get the hell out of there.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Where are the clowns?
Yep. And that's what it feels like. It's a very, very horror movie. Which I think is very much the intent. Is that this is Ray's life, really? And then, of course, she comes in and she has no real reaction to Shinji. No real reaction to where his hand goes. No real reaction to any of that stuff. She just exists, basically.
Yeah.
Except for the one thing.
Except for the glasses. Indeed. The glasses she cares about. Just good filmmaking.
They're like a gift.
Yep.
Like a wonderful gift.
Exactly.
Okay.
A really creepy gift.
Yeah.
I love the way that her apartment was slightly hazy, which she was showering.
Yeah,
So
sure.
That's fine. But as she's looking around and you see the box or the garbage can filled with the bloody gauze,
Yeah.
the first thought that came to my head is like, oh, is this like the room like stinks? So it's like kind of hazy.
Good call.
I'm like,
yeah.
a box of bloody bandages and like blood on stuff. It's like, this place must reek.
Yeah. Which,
And
by
Ray
the
doesn't
way,
care.
Which, by the way, is why she's showering in the middle of the day, because she needs to shower frequently to wash off all of the
all the LCL and all the blood.
Yeah, exactly. Great scene. Just gotta say, great scene.
Yeah.
And then things get interesting.
As if they haven't been up till now.
Already. Yeah.
But yeah, we get the sixth angel, which begins its penetration. Yeah.
It's 9 o'clock.
Yeah. They keep using the word, so it's like they're very clear. It is penetrating the facility.
It's overcoming their weaknesses with its penetration.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, goodness gracious.
All right. I know. I see what you're doing there. Yeah, and then
I wonder if everybody looking at in the original series, looking at the storyboard, going, "Oh no," and him going,
yeah, right.
You guys know where I'm coming from, right? Yeah, we got you.
We can get away with this, right? Not gonna
Nobody
that.
will see that how that went. It'll be just like somebody's drilling something.
Yep. Speaking of
really
which,
12.
I don't know if you noticed, we see more of Ray this time around. Yeah, we see the entire side of her body, if you will, in that scene. So, because it's a movie, they can get away with a little bit more. It's like, all right, okay, we can tell what you're doing.
It went from PG to PG-13.
Exactly. Yes.
Very good.
Yeah, and so Shinji wakes up, and we get a little bit more inside the train as Shinji starts actually like dealing with things. And again, it's why I like the fact that they're laying this in. Is originally it's obviously Shinji just got ideas bouncing around in his head. Now he's actually starting to kind of psychoanalyze, and asking, okay, like really, why do I feel this way? I don't know that life's worth living, but why do I feel that? Which is a fair question.
Which a good PSA moment at this time. You're like, if anybody's having these kinds of thoughts, please consult with a licensed, licensed professional therapist.
Exactly.
We'd help you, figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Shinji could have really used
Yes,
that.
very much so.
Yes.
I guess
I
think all the therapists passed away in First Impact.
Well, I mean, he if you want to say, well, children turn to their parents and they address their concerns, he doesn't have a mother to address the concerns with.
No.
Gendo is just not. He's not. No. Misato, I to the degree that she is, friendly to Shinji, that she's trying to be motherly to Shinji, she also is a military commander. So she needs him to be in the right headspace to do the thing that he has to do.
Yeah.
So she can't really like gently walk him through an analysis of his own feelings. She just needs him to be put together enough to get into the damn machine.
Yep.
So it's like, you know, all he needed in this, like, sort of short circuit a lot of this, like, I don't like, get a good military therapist, somebody in there just to like sit down and talk with the kid for a few hours a week, just to get him some like help and going.
And
one of the things you bring up a good point, John, is and I totally forgot about this because I don't remember this. It might have been, it might not have been, I don't know, in the original TV series. But she does the bright slap after he leaves the room, after they have the talk.
Right.
Where I'm the lieutenant colonel. And she just stands there for a moment and she actually just does the swing. She does the bright slap because that's what she wanted to do, but she couldn't do it. But she was really conflicted because the commander in her is just like, smack the crap out of the kid. Get him, shape him up. And then the other part is just like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that.
Yeah, that's a great call out. I don't recall her doing that in the original TV series. I recall her just going, damn, or something at the end of that scene. That's interesting. That's a really good call out. Another thing I noticed this time around, I think, originally, Shinji's wearing pajamas in the whenever he's in the hospital. When he wakes up this time, he's not. He's just got a sheet over him. And and when he's talking to Ray, and you see like he's got the sheet is sort of coming down, and like he clearly doesn't. He's clearly, at least topless underneath that. And I actually really like that because it references back to the scene with Ray.
I wonder if this is again difference between TV and movie.
Oh yeah, I think it absolutely
TV,
is.
it's like, oh no, he has to have pajamas.
Right.
He's got to be wearing something. And here they're like, no, go commando in the bed. You're fine.
Right. Exactly. And of course, and again, who knows how bandaged he is underneath there? Who knows what else is going on under there? But I think kind of the implication is again kind of Ray was in kind of ultimate vulnerability in that scene. Now Shinji has a chance to be sort of vulnerable and open in that scene. So it's kind of a nice little shift around there. And we get a little bit of interaction with Ray. Ray actually asks a question in this scene. Imagine that. Why do you want to pilot?
It makes us all feel closer to her by the minute.
Yeah, exactly. She's a very warm person.
Yes.
As is everyone in Evangelion. Very warm people.
She's delightful on a hot summer day.
She is. Yes, absolutely. Because she's so
it's
cold.
cold in here?
Right, yeah, exactly.
It's just Ray.
Yeah. And then the sequence. And again, I don't remember this being in the TV series where Misato goes to Shinji and says, "Let me show you something," and takes his hand and takes him down to see Lilith. I don't think that was in the show at this point. Again, it could be wrong.
Not this soon.
No. I thought it was much later.
It's in the last quarter.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the last quarter.
And I think it's partly because, and John, you're talking about, and Steve, you're talking about Shinji's change in attitude here. Shinji is like done. Shinji has before like he didn't want to do it. Now it's changed into something else. He is just he has made a decision at this point. And I love the symbolism of her taking his hand, literally taking his hand the way a parent would, and taking him down to see Lilith. And the image of that. Also, again, one of those things I think I noticed this first time. When they open the door, there are little paper charms on it that break.
Right.
When the door opens.
Yeah.
So there's always a little bit of that going on there, of little religious practice in there. Yeah, and so we see Lilith. I will say, given everything else going on, I don't know how much seeing Lilith like changes Shinji's mind. It's like, guess what we have at Eva? Go ahead, enjoy piloting the giant robot. It's like, okay, like that's freaky. Yeah. Like but then when
look at the giant thing we crucified. Isn't it cool?
What?
Yeah.
Cool.
I just want to cook. I don't want to fly the robot. Wait a minute. Hold on. We're mixing the Deshko.
Yeah.
I just want to cook. Damn it.
Almost like the
I love the lower end of Lilith too, where it's just like, oh boy, were those people that were like sucked up into this in somehow weird thing? I'm like, oh jeez.
Yeah. Say what you will about Evangelion, you know, the visual design of the show is definitely one of the highlights.
Yes, it is.
They know how to give you strong visuals.
And it's religious subtlety.
Very subtle. Very subtle. Yes.
Very
soft hand.
Yes. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah. But Misato does eventually get there, where she explains that, yeah, you're all freaked out, but everyone here is basically doing the same thing you're doing. We're all in this together, trying to fight the angels. Yes, you're on the front line, but we're all part of the same sort of force doing this. I think that is what finally gets through to Shinji in that lovely little moment of, she grabs his hand, he finally reciprocates the gesture.
Grabs back.
Grabs back. It's like, aww, so sweet.
So sweet in the vision of death. Oh.
Right. This is practically Eurocamp at this point.
Eurocamp don't work really over here.
Oh my, yes, I felt this was healing and relaxing.
Very much so, yes.
Welcome to this hell pit of horror.
Yeah.
And let's relax. Oh, that's good.
It's like a charm for bracelet out of this.
Yeah, exactly. But we get the first real conversation between Shinji and Ray, which this is one of my favorite moments actually in the original TV series in this period, because it's really the first point where these two characters, who are obviously central to the story, and obviously kind of the two big pilots, actually do have what amounts to heart for these two characters. But they are clearly like trying to understand each other a little bit more. They are reaching out a little bit. Finally, thank you. This is what I wanted out of these characters. A little bit at least.
They're comrades in arms, so to figure out where they both stand in their comradeship.
Yeah, and to your guys' point, we do see an evolution here, where he's like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna go. She goes, no, you won't, because I will protect you. Like, oh, okay, connection. Finally, a connection. And Shinji's like, why do you do that? Because, and she, as you said, because he told me to. Oh, that is a connection to her and somebody, right? So we're starting to see those connections between people. Patrick,
which would have been perfect for him to jump up and be like, really? Daddy told me too.
You follow orders well, right?
Yeah.
And so many doujinshi were born.
Yeah. Gendo was a man of particular taste.
Yes, he was indeed. Very much so. And the less said about that, the better.
Indeed.
And then, Patrick, we're going to be doing all 4 rebuild movies once a week for the next couple weeks. So we'll be talking about all the rebuild things. So I'd love to get your
thoughts. We'll have our own therapy sessions.
Yes.
Yeah. Although, quite honestly, I think Lane induces much more like my skull hurts. Mm-hmm. I've got to think about how this all connects. Yeah. This just is like, oh boy. just fight the thing. Let's get done with this.
Let's slap your emotional centers around.
Exactly.
Yeah. Have fun with that.
Yeah. Then we'll move on to something good like Eurocamp.
So much to talk about with that show.
Yeah.
And here's what we were saying before. We have this long, very self-indulgent scene of all the power cables and electronics, and we're gonna get Godzilla this time.
Done. Yeah, all the work done to show like D1, D2, D3, D4 of like how deep cells are like connecting into the matrix to make the thing happen. I'm like, why did you do this? Other than the fact that you just could. It gives a nerd audience a lot of, did you see, what did it say? Did you see what it said on that one? Did it say anything significant? No. But it's so much written on everything that, I'm sure there are people who are like, I wish I could stop the film and read it.
And in fairness, there is a certain amount of world building to it, where you see all this thing and think, okay, there must be, you can kind of imagine all of the ridiculous, work required to build all these things and so forth. So,
the fleet of vehicles alone to bring the Transformers in. It's just like, Wow. So the one road out of town that Shinji was on, apparently the rest of town's roads are all just fine.
Better be.
Damn.
And because Big Gun, that's very true. Actually, that is a really good point. That is kind of what they're saying here. Is again, this is not just another weapon. Get ready, folks.
Yeah. This is the biggest thing that's ever been seen in anything that's ever been big.
Exactly.
Very good.
Totally.
So this is like the difference between things and like Japan and America or whatever. You know how they go, oh well, we're gonna have to tell Japan to, basically at midnight all your powers can be gone.
Right.
We're not gonna explain why, we're just telling you now. So be prepared.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that happening today here in America? And how many yahoos would be just like going, no, I don't want to save the world. What about my right to my internet porn? Come on now.
My OnlyFans account cannot go down.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it would be like January 6th, all the hell over everywhere, all the
Yeah.
time. So like, oh boy, here we go.
Oh boy.
Because all in the show, the Japanese are just like, oh, okay, something's going on. Wow, okay, we should be worried. And you see the consternation on the faces and stuff. But there's this general acceptance of okay, the thing has to happen because we're dealing with all this stuff.
Yeah.
So clearly,
The collective good is served by this, despite the individual inconvenience.
right. I know.
How culturally significant, huh? Really. But you're absolutely right, Steve. There would be riots in the U.S.
Yeah, definitely.
You want to wear a mask? I will burn down this country.
All right. Can we move on?
I'm just kidding.
Thank you. And so one of the things I do like about this fight, which is a really well thought out fight,
Yes.
in many of the structures, is how different the angel is.
Yes.
It's not like a being or a creature. It's just this shape,
geometrical thing.
geometric shape, just constantly reconfiguring itself. And again, CGI. And a good example of where it's like, okay, yes, obviously we're gonna do CGI for this.
I love the critical hits. When it would take that critical hit and then the whole thing would be like,
Yes.
it just,
yes.
and then it would collect itself again.
Yep. Totally.
What's also very interesting that's like the other angels, like the first angel that you get to see, it's like walking through the city, so it's knocking things around, destroying stuff. The big squid angel, it's same kind of thing. It sits up and it's got the little fingers things, and it's presumably squishing things. This thing just glides in.
Yeah.
It doesn't knock any buildings down. It doesn't laser anybody on the ground. Nobody's getting like fried with microwave radiation.
Yep.
It just wanders in and just hangs there. It's like
It's like, okay, I'm looking for
What's the
thing,
purpose
found a thing, and now we're going up.
yeah,
Exactly.
burrow down to it. It's like it's a different type of angel. It's specifically doing a specific thing. It doesn't mind anybody else around the city.
Yeah. For me,
Well,
this.
it's-
Okay.
No, I was just gonna say, it's just like the angel just goes, you know what? Let's do the big thing first, and then we can kill everyone else that are.
Yeah. Let's be focused. Well, for me, this was when I really realized that Evangelion's approach to kind of mecha and the stories they were going to tell was innovative. Because again, it's not Monster of the Week. It's not, okay, and now a lion-shaped thing, and now a scorpion-shaped thing, right?
Right.
Power Ranger.
Right, exactly, yeah. It's, this is just completely, as you say, completely different, not only just visual design, but also approach to combat. And also just like really smart. We're like, no, I'm not designed to fit in streets. I'm not designed to do those things. I am designed to absorb power and dish it back out. That's what I do.
Yep.
And it's going to do that thing. And boy,
Did
does it.
they ever say in the original series? Because I don't remember.
Yeah.
We've now seen, this is now the third angel that showed up.
Sorry.
It enters from like stage right.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is the third. This is the third fight. So we saw the walking one, we saw the squid one, and now we got the diamond.
Yeah, this is the third one in series. Yeah.
In
I think.
series.
Yeah.
It just enters stage right. It just sort of
it's just
shows
there.
up and kind of wanders across. And it's like, I don't remember in the TV series whether, they talk about the, third impact, the second impact, first impact. And it's like, and you get to see, when Misato is talking about her parents, you get to see what an impact looks like. But I don't remember particularly being like, how does the angel show up?
Oh no, that is something they talk about in the TV series. That no, they just appear out of nowhere.
Right. They
But it's like
they
they
just
just
suddenly
materialize like in
pretty
the
much.
woods outside of town and then just wander in.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the things I wanted to see was like, I would even have accepted like a teleport thing where it's like, you like see the sparkles and also there's an angel be like, ooh, wow, that was where'd it come from? But every time you see the angel, it's like enter stage right.
Yeah,
Doop, doop,
it's just
doop,
there.
There's an angel.
Can you imagine just living a life like that, where you're just like in the house, just right outside of town, you're brushing your teeth, it's 8:00 in the morning, and you're thinking, got to get to work, got to get the nerve, and then you're just and then and you're like, no coffee for me, gotta go.
Exactly.
Oh, we're doing this again. Are they gonna set the N2 mine off next door? Let's get out of here.
Where's that into mine, and how's this going to impact my having children?
Right.
Mutant babies.
Yeah.
Flipper babies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that, again, they kind of subvert expectations, that Shinji misses. And in that classic way, it's not that he screws up and like fires off, he just didn't get it exactly dead on center. And it just, of course, like that happens, that you're not going to be able to hit it exactly right on the first time. It happens in every other mecha series. When push comes to shove, we take it out in one hit.
Well, didn't they say it's like, you're going to have to calculate for like gravity and curvature and blah, 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 blah. The computer will take care of most of it, and, that'll just should assure it. When he goes for the second shot, they actually, you can hear them say in the background, pilot's gone manual. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, StarArs.
Yes, absolutely.
You can't use the targeting computer to hit the exhaust vent.
Yep.
You have to use the force. And then, hit it with the photon torpedo. It's like, I got you. That's how Shinji's using the force here, is it?
And this is where I started to sort of stand up and cheer, frankly, because this is where Shinji gets in the robot, basically, where he's like, okay, no, I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to, clamor up, grab the gun, fire it. And I love how, and very much at that point, Ray jumps in front of him, has the shield, he's targeting, and we even have a, stay on target, come on. And Shinji is suddenly, looking forward to firing the gun, right? And not in a eager in the sense of this will solve the problem if I fire the gun and take out this angel, and just seeing that determination on Shinji's face and seeing him come to that realization as a character was just thank you so much. And again, there's some of that in the original series. But seeing it communicated so clearly here was very, very nice. Not as nice as seeing all the blood dripping down on Nerve HQ, but...
Yeah. Yeah. The river of blood.
Can you imagine having that smoke break?
I'm going to be back. Where are you going, Tim? I'm going to change my uniform again. Another angel? Yeah.
Yeah. Must be a... what is the thing? Someone's got a case of the Mondays.
I'll punch you in the head.
And then, and again, this is one of those things where just the strength of it really came back to me when Shinji goes over in EVA 1 to pull out Ray, and he's taking the knife, and like the bone and sinew sounds of him ripping into EVA Unit 0. That was some good audio engineering.
Yeah.
Oh.
And again, it just really drives home what you're seeing as a giant mechanical machine really is not a giant mechanical machine. You got it with the screaming Eva, and then you get it with this sinewy, gooey, human-like hands.
Yes.
Where it's like, ooh, wow.
I started laughing when I watched this just because it's not meant to be laughed at.
Because you're a sick man.
I need help. But as he just, he's trying to dig the thing out, and you hear the song, the gristle and all that stuff, and I half expected to hear Shinji just humming a tune like he was just butchering the meat. Like,
this little piggy goes to market.
This
little piggy comes home.
There we go. All right. Here's the tenderloin. There we go.
Yeah. There's an AV idea for you. Talk about Bad Robot Theater. Anyway,
kidney. Oh, I'm digging too low. Okay, let's go up the top.
You can't just imagine the actual probably what they wanted to do is he's digging it out and he just pulls on it and he goes, oh, what the hell is that in there? Is that supposed to be there? What is that?
Does my Eva have one of those?
Yeah. Oh boy.
And of course the father like son moment once he gets the capsule out.
Yeah.
Just doing all the references back, which is great. And having this very anime moment, let's be honest, of Shinji breaking in and saying, "Don't say to me, I have nothing else, and goodbye. Don't leave me with that. That's unfair." Basically, and then of course Ray saying, "What should I do?" And Shinji asking for a smile. And
she smiles.
Yeah.
And I was just totally creeped out. I'm just like, oh god, she's gonna do whatever those two say. Oh.
And again, Dojinshi.
You're a Gendo's son. I will obey you unconditionally. Oh boy.
That's not what we're talking. Okay.
Yeah. But
just as a practical aspect, they've just drained the LCL out of that capsule. So when he pops the door up and goes in there, she should be probably on the floor retching up LCL as she's trying to fill her body, with air.
Well, she's so.
Give me a smile.
Well, she's so just non-emotional, whatever.
Yeah.
Running at her.
Just oh god, no.
Oh,
Here's some nightmare fuel.
Yeah. Just running out of her ears. Just pouring out of her nose.
Oh dear, I have to do that now. But yeah, and as Patrick is saying, it's great seeing because I like the fact that the show doesn't scream at you. The fact that Shinji's doing the same thing, exactly as his father did. That Shinji is doing that and it's a good example of effective writing, where he is doing that not purely as symbolism. He's doing that because the last 20 minutes have been establishing why at this moment he would be climbing out, trying to get to Ray and doing all those things. It's a very motivated scene. It's just showing that these two are not that dissimilar in their feelings.
Unless
it's organic to his character arc.
Exactly, yes.
More than it is just he's a little Gendo.
Right.
No,
he's not.
Yeah, but no.
He's not, yeah.
We don't want to have any more elevator scenes of this.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And how tall is Shinji? Jesus, everyone is taller than him.
Yeah, he's small. He is very small.
He was raised in a very small box.
Yes.
Speaking of boxes, is that what that thing that kid crawled out of at the end?
Oh, it's a box.
It's a box on the moon.
He was in a box, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, we're going through some very, very psychological trauma.
Yes.
Hi, I live in a box on the moon.
I mean, let's be honest. That
sounds like a fun kid show. A box on the moon. Let's go talk to the rabbit about making mochi. Oh, sweet. What a cute, endearing show.
Now I want to watch that show with this host.
Oh,
Let's go to the other side of the moon and talk to the rabbit. That's right.
oh yeah.
So let's be honest. This is pure fan service. This whole scene is pure fan service. Everyone knows who this character is. Everyone is wondering if the character is going back. So in the very end, we tease him. He shows up completely naked. Okay, yes. You know, half of the audience squeeze. We gotcha.
Yeah.
But not completely unrealistic given everything else going on in the story. I get it. But it is kind of funny. You know, this is clearly Anna going, You know? You're going to talk about this on the way home, aren't you?
Come see the next film.
Come see the next film. And we get...
It's not what you think.
No, it's not. And then we get Hikaru Utada's beautiful song, Beautiful World, playing over the end credits. And full props to the makers of this for doing a next episode preview at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly in the style, same music.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say was that you needed that because by the end of it, you're just like, oh, I'm so emotionally traumatized. I'm never watching this again. Oh, my God. Oh, hey.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, there's more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
And again, very smart because not only he doesn't just go back and do it, he says, and Unit 6 descends from the moon. Excuse me?
What?
I'm sorry, who?
And you see all these characters, see all this stuff going on, and we'll see if we can get, because this is one of those things I was like, oh, okay, thank you for doing this. It's going to be hard to find. Yeah, Shinji going nuts.
Again.
As Shinji is wont to do. And because we do get a tease in here somewhere of Mari. You see her
Mari
briefly.
Illustrious?
Yeah, Mari Illustrious. Nah, it's not going to show it. Anyway, but yeah, so you can see a little bit of Mari Illustrious in there, which I was like, good on you for getting that in. Billy Mays jumps in. But wait, there's more! That would be awesome. They should do that.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah. So, I had this question about Star Wars Episode 7. When fans complain about Star Wars Episode 7, because so many of them complained that it was exactly like Episode 4. And that it was, they were just going back and rehashing all those things. And my question was always, why did you think they wouldn't do that? Right? Like, this is the fans wanted nothing but something that felt exactly like the original trilogy. So of course they're going to go back and do that. Like, you might not like that, you might not want that, but it's not surprising that they went back to make it match those things. Rebuild 1 is clearly, okay, here's episodes 1 through 8 of Evangelion. Do you think that was the most effective choice for this movie? Would you rather there have been more new things? Would you rather they have gone in different directions? Or do you think it was smart for them, again, just partly from a marketing perspective, to say, first movie, let's make it comfortable, let's make it familiar, we'll change a few little things. What do you think?
I think that's probably it. Because I think that over there in Japan, this is a thing.
Oh, yes.
So, this is a thing. This is a real thing. And people know it. It's just like how here in America, the rare person who has never seen Star Wars, any Star Wars movies, know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just no two ways about it. And there's a general knowledge of it. Mm-hmm. So, if you're being introduced to this, if you're being reintroduced to this, it makes sense to have something that's new-ish, introducing new things in a way that's just, okay, we know these things happen, but here we're working in these new ideas or just this new person. Mm-hmm. So it's not a totally new thing, because the other part of it is that, the actual fans are going to be wanting to see, as to your point, which is, we want to see that. We want to see this, that, and the other thing. Mm-hmm. And that's going to keep us, once we get that, then we'll keep going. Mm-hmm. And so, when you go into the other rebuilds, you can expand on those differences a little bit more.
And you're giving them improved animation, you're giving them improved, like, just general feel, look, everything to it, that it's like, okay, everybody who wants something familiar, the story is familiar, but you've graphically upgraded things, so it's like, oh, cool, this is much more eye candy to look at. This is great.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, it's like people who heard of it but are not immersed in it, they can still. This is an easy entry point to get to. The hardcore fan is going to love the cleaned up look and love more of the action things that are happening, and the casual viewer who just walks into the theater is going to be able to follow the storyline at least to the degree that you can hook them in for a next film.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I agree. And as Patrick was saying, given how how far third and fourth movies 3 and 4 go, getting them comfortable at the beginning, I think it was wise, because this becomes a roller coaster from what I've heard. Definitely, movie 2 is starts to diverge in dramatic ways. So, John, you said that this movie didn't really change your opinion on Evangelion or your kind of perspective on it.
No, I felt, having watched the entirety of the TV series, I just, Shinji is just not a character I enjoy.
Fair. Yeah.
And it's as a result of that, when I watched this film the first time, I was like, okay, I kind of liked the way that they were not just hammering constantly. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Like, okay, shut up. So I liked that they sort of dialed him down a little and gave him like a little bit more, connectivity with what's going on, that you could be like, okay, now he's starting to dawn on, he doesn't want to do the thing, but if he's going to protect Ray and he's going to protect people, like his classmates, these folks around him, he has to do a thing, and the thing is the robot. So it's like, I felt better about it.
Okay.
But Eva just never motivated me in the same way.
Yeah.
It's like, my big robot is Macross first and foremost, and then Gundam's after that, and then Eva is just sort of somewhere out on the horizon, where it's like, I find the bio element of the Eva units to be curious. That was very interesting to me.
Yeah.
But for so much of the series, you don't really get a good solid answer out of the reason for that until you get later into it. So it's like this, you see there's biological elements to it, but you don't really have like good reasoning behind it. It's like, I just like, repair the machine thing, and you see all the gears and circuits and stuff, and it's like, I didn't get that out of this. And I was like, okay.
Patrick, I want to come back to that in a second. Steve, how about you? Like, did this movie shift your thoughts on Evangelion at all?
Well, like I said, when I watched the television series, I was vested. Like, I watched it. And when I would watch it again, I watched it. I even forced myself to watch the last episode. And that's, the strong, all joking aside, the strong reaction I had. What?
The end of the...
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the slow clap, yeah. At first I was like, okay.
Congratulations, you watched the last episode. Good for you.
Oh my God, I'm on the beach with the comatose girl. Okay, no. So when I watched the Rebuild movie, even in Otakon, what I got out of it was, John, you said the cleanup of the whole thing, the whole cleanup, and the understanding that we're going to do things a little bit differently, and we're going to go in a couple different directions here. And it was just pleasing, again, to the eye. The story was fun. It didn't change how I felt about it, really, per se. I still felt Shinji being Shinji through this. But I just felt, because it was movie form, that we could sit without all the episodes to this one part of the movie. But just like I said, I just loved the mechanics of it, and the audio was, John, Brendan, as you said, the audio is just amazing. I actually this time around, I actually sat there and listened to the whole song at the end. Because I really enjoyed that song. I forgot how good that song was.
I did too. Well, and when they announced the movie, so just for me, I didn't really watch any of the trailers until then. They did one trailer, which was announcing that song for the movie, and it was a trailer for the movie with movie footage set to that song. And so my memory, my memory of the Rebuild movies and kind of being really introduced to them visually is with basically an AMV set to that song as the original, one of the original trailers of that. And just the imagery of that just flashes into my head every time I hear the song. I'm going like, that's what Shinji looks like? That's what okay. Oh, I'm interested. So yeah, great song. I very much like you guys. This first film, I was like, okay, cool. They're readjusting a few things. Not much to decide yet about what they're doing in terms of story wise. But I'm glad to see this is not going to be a direct remake. Patrick Haggerty in the chat brings up a really good point to what you were saying earlier, John. One of the difficulties with Evangelion is you don't have a character to root for. Maybe Misato. Misato definitely, I would say, is the most sympathetic character in the show. And boy, does she have a happy time of it. And I think that is one of the difficulties of the show, is that, I can't think of a character in Evangelion that I empathize with, if that's the right word, that I root for. It's just not that kind of a show. That's not how it's structured. And that does make it really hard to get into. A lot of folks.
I will say that one of the burning questions that I have is, what happens to Pen Pen? Because I just assumed that he just got blown up by everybody, or all events going around.
Pen Pen's actually God.
Oh,
stop reading my damn mind.
Okay.
I was just about to say, well, if you actually read some of the subreddits and stuff that discusses this pretty deeply, Pen Pen's God.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Clearly.
Well, now I'm just going to sit here quietly.
Pen Pen's a symbol for Moses, because Pen Pen leads people out of darkness into the light. And he represents the duality of nature because of the two words in his name. We could go on.
And Moses was a flightless bird.
Yeah, yes.
Who lived in a swanky refrigerator. All right.
Exactly. Think about that.
Yes.
Think about
count
the meaning of that.
Right. Just think. 5 letters in Moses' name. 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 letters in Pen Pen's name. See, it all comes together.
It's all.
Yeah.
Exactly. The Godhead 3 in 1.
Proof.
Or 6.
Proof. Right. Exactly. 3 in 1. Pen.
That's right.
3 in 1. Yeah. And
3 in 1. See, it's the Trinity right there. The whole thing.
This is what's sad. This is how easy it is.
Somebody out there right now is listening in on this, going, "Oh, Old Testament. I gotta look this up in the Old Testament."
Oh boy.
Penguin.
Yes.
Old, new. Where is that?
Oh dear. But I will say, like, when I finished rewatching this, I was entertained. Like, I watched it all the way through. Like, I wasn't like, oh, Evangelion again. Oh, okay, whatever. It still has that power to draw you in and engage you for the full, nearly 2 hours. Like hour and 40 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
They did it. They definitely did it. So, cool. So next week we'll be looking at Evangelion 2.22. And that will be the next little bit of the plot. We will get to see Asuka for the first time. We will get to see the other new pilot in that episode, that movie, which, as you all know, I have a bit of a fondness for. And and we'll see what you all think about that next stage of the Evangelion journey until the end, the final completion. The final movie, the final piece of media for all time. That fourth Rebuild movie.
But until they get more funding for a 5th film. Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. We'll talk about that when we get to it. That'll do it. We're gonna take a quick break for just a few minutes, and we'll be right back to talk about some more modern anime and the latest anime news. So we'll be right back. And we're back. Welcome, everyone. Let's take a moment, a little breather. We already talked a little bit about the anime we've been watching. Folks in the chat, let us know what you've been watching lately, and any questions you have for the three of us. I'm trying to think back. I did watch a little anime this week. Second episode of My Senpai is Annoying.
Ooh, yeah.
So really enjoying that. As we go a little bit more into what's going on in that office. Beyond just the main two characters, which was nice to see. And then the next episode of the Sunrise Mecha series. MAM, whatever it's called. I'm going to have to...
A meme or whatever it is.
Yeah. Warrior of the Borderline, a.k.a. something Senki, I think. So episode 2 of that, and that's just chugging along. More of that, which is cool.
That was the one with the little AI that he had the robo facility, and then they found it, blew up the robo facility. Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That was fun. And then trying to think what else. I was mentioning
Miera-chan?
Say what?
Miera-chan?
Don't think so. I'm actually blanking out what Miera-chan is.
The girl that can see horrifying spirits.
Oh, no more of that.
Okay. No more of that.
No.
Nothing against it.
No.
Just didn't get any more of that. Did watch a bit more of Natsuzora, the live-action drama. And I was telling the two of you, there's a sequence in that where they show her. She tries out to do tracing. And this is a series set in the 50s where a woman is breaking into the anime industry. And she's been doing painting. She wants to get into animation, and there's a lull between projects. They just finished painting the Magic Serpent. So it's going on to basically editing. And so there's not a lot of work for the girls to do. So they say, okay, you give this a try. So they take them over, and they're like, so, all of these pencil sketches and all these drawings that these artists are doing, and these cells you're doing. Here's the thing: somebody needs to take every drawing, lay a clear plastic cell over it, and trace and ink the original drawing onto the acetate, because Xerox machines don't exist yet.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and so they give the main character a drawing of like a little fish, and have her draw it, ink it, and then they take it and say, okay, do it again. Okay, do it again. Okay, do it again. And she does this 10 times. With everyone else watching as she's just tracing this, and does a very good job tracing it. It looks great. They say, okay, great. Take all 10 of them, stack them up on top of each other, and hold them up to the light. And you can see all the different differentiations between all 10 of them, because they don't all exactly match up. And they're like, if we tried to animate this, it would wobble and look terrible, right?
Ooh, yeah.
And then they take somebody who's been doing this for a while, shows them what that looks like, and it's way closer, but it's not perfect. And they say, here's the thing: our goal has to be perfection, because there's no other way to get there. But the odd thing is, the differences from one drawing to another are what give them life. So you have this really hard job to try to be as precise as possible, while also have a sense of life through all of these drawings. Practice, basically. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
jeez. And one of the things that kind of blew my mind is that she's trying to practice drawing and animation, so she's just doing cuts from Panda the Magic Serpent. Because there are no other examples. She doesn't have, copies of New Type showing character designs from other movies. She doesn't have anything else to base it on. She could go to manga, but manga aren't meant to look like animation. So there's no connection there. So she just got to do Panda the Magic Serpent every day, over and over, to practice animation. There's just no other material available. I'm like, yeah, that'd be the way it is.
I was
Gosh.
to say, wasn't there at least some commercial like advertising availability? But
Oh,
I mean, how would you get access to that?
Right, they existed, but they showed on television at 2:00 in the morning. It's already gone. Like, you can't tape it.
Yeah, jeez.
Right. It's like,
God.
gosh, times have changed. Brad Bird was once interviewed and asked, what is the best and worst thing about modern hand-drawn animation? And he said it's the same thing. It's that we have access to all of the old animation, and we can break it down frame by frame, which is amazing and wonderful, but it also means that that's all we copy. And it all tends to look the same. He's like, that's an interesting point. You know, there is an element where he said, at this point with animation, you can say, okay, and now the character is moving into grin number 2, and then disappointed expression number 5, and then, and it's become very cookie cutter. It's fair. Anyway. Cool. Let me think. What else is going on? Y'all hear that?
Let's hear something.
Okay. All right. I think we're all good. I think I have everything I need. Maybe, possibly. This might work. We're going to find out. Welcome to the latest anime news for the week ending October 23rd, 2021. And let us start off with a bit of One Piece news, as well as some Tatsunoko news. The One Piece anime will reach a major milestone next month when it reaches its 1,000th episode. Yep.
Wow.
I need to start that series now.
Yeah.
I can catch up.
Now's the time. Now's the time to start. To celebrate, Funimation and Toei Animation will hold a global live stream event on November 20th. The broadcast will stream episodes 998 and 999 of the anime for free, and will also feature fan videos and hold prize giveaways. The event will be streamed on both Funimation and Toei's YouTube channels, as well as the official One Piece Facebook page. Funimation also posted a teaser video for the episode itself on YouTube. So that's cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. 1,000. I'm wondering if they'll, like, obviously they're doing something. I wonder if the episode itself, content-wise, will have anything in it to commemorate that. I don't know.
It's just going to be a refill
it's a beach
episode
episode.
of all 999. It's just going to recap everything.
It's the beach episode.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pirate show. I mean, it's a beach
Sure,
episode
yeah.
every episode. They're on the ocean. I mean, really?
Good point.
I just can't. I mean, starting now, I'll be like, oh, well, episodes 1 through 500 are the critical ones. 500 through like 700, that's all filler. So I only have 500.
It's
to
a
get
silly
through.
story arc for about 300 episodes.
You're
no
fine.
one need to worry about that.
Yeah, totally. Tatsunoko Productions is also beginning its countdown to a major milestone. The company's 60th anniversary on October 19th. That's 2022. The studio behind Speed Racer and many others released a visual this week featuring 60 characters across various Tatsunoko properties. The company's online shop plans to sell 60 different types of goods based on the new visual. 60. See how it all goes together. Yeah. They'll also hold various events and projects throughout the next year, as you might expect. The Tatsunoko themed shop a Tatsunoko themed shop will open in Tokyo from November 2nd through the 8th, and starting from November 26th. Web manga site Comicplex will run a Tatsunoko 60th anthology manga featuring various manga creators' own interpretations of Tatsunoka's anime works. That's pretty cool. Studio is also holding a joint campaign with TV Kanagawa, which is celebrating its own 50th anniversary, taking a survey of viewers to determine which Tatsunoko series will air in the station's Sunday anime time slot starting in April. So might see a classic series coming back. The rest of the series in the top 5 will be broadcast under the nostalgic anime selection from December through March.
Interesting.
Yeah, so nice to see classic anime getting its due.
Speed Racer, all the time, the whole way.
Yeah,
That's
all the
they
death.
should air.
No, actually, what we need to see is all deaths in Speed Racer.
Yes, exactly.
It's a kids show.
Yeah.
They were fine. Really die.
Nobody actually died in the lava.
They were just grievously injured.
My favorite episode of Speed Racer is the Dexter's Lab parody of Speed Racer. It's like a whole episode where everyone's speaking really fast, and it's all doing all the stuff. It's great fun. Let's see here. Ooh, yes, some spicy stuff this week, kind of. It's less than a month now until the premiere of Netflix's live-action Cowboy Bebop adaptation.
Yeah.
And the show posted its first teaser of the main characters in action this week. The Lost Session video tells its own short story of Spike, Jet, and Faye jumping from locale to locale and kind of panel to panel, fighting bad guys, offering a small taste of how the show itself might look and feel. Did you guys get a chance to catch this? What did you think?
I did. I loved it.
Yeah.
It gives me hope. It gives me hope because we know how Netflix is like. As far as I'm concerned, kind of really iffy with their live action anime stuff. I really liked how they use the actual bars of the screen going from place to place to place. And it's just really nonstop movement and action. And if anyone is worried about John Cho not being up to snuff in terms of martial arts, this should put that to bed.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. By the end of this, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it won't be like what happened with the guy who from Game of Thrones who played Iron Fist, and he really didn't train, and it was a lot of just and then some stunt double jumps in, kind of thing.
Yeah. By the end, dare I say, by the end of that trailer, I was like, yeah, these are the characters. Like that it feels right. Yeah. It feels like they got them.
Wow.
So we'll see. Also,
they showed the Bebop and his Spike's ship.
Yeah.
Swordfish too.
Yeah. You got to see both of them, which is very exciting.
So cool.
And another character shows up as well in the trailer, which is quite fun. A strange video also appeared on the official Cowboy Bebop Twitter the day before the teaser was posted. The uncharacteristically enthusiastic caption read, "Bebop, here, here, all right, woohoo!" And an attached video featured the series logo phasing in and out through a static into one with the signature emoji of a certain radical hacker from the original series. It seems even Radical Edward is getting in on the excitement, and fans are hoping this means the character will appear in the show soon as well.
That would be awesome.
What makes this interesting is that they have not announced casting for Ed. Ed was just not part of any of
the discussion. I've never seen anything that was
like Ayn is in it. Like Ayn is officially in the show, but not Ed. So
how could you not have Ed if you've got Ayn?
Yeah, they pointed out actually. Ed appears in episode 9 of Cowboy Bebop.
I was going to say Ed appears after Ayn. Ayn's
episode 2.
Episode 2. I think.
Yeah. So I wonder how they're going to do that. I will say Radical Edward is the hardest character of all of those to get right.
Yeah.
It'll be a trick.
It'll be a trick. Absolutely. So we'll see. We will see. Full disclosure, everyone. Kind of quiet news news week this week because also this week, TV Asahi and Leiden Films announced this week that they are producing an original badminton sports anime with an unusual feature. Instead of following high schoolers, Ryman's Club will follow a badminton team of corporate professionals. Adults! Adults, everyone! We get to watch adults playing sports. What has the world come to? The protagonist was a childhood... Yeah!
That's quite a different take.
Imagine that. The protagonist was a childhood badminton prodigy who never recovered from a tough loss in high school. Shocker. He is now in the sales department at a beverage company and plays alongside co-workers in the corporate badminton league. Set to premiere in January. So, I'm up for
Where are
it.
they going to go if they're not going to nationals?
Well, they can still go to nationals, right?
for the
Beat up on
corporate
Right.
corporate badminton.
Oh
league?
no! So this is the thing. Like there are actually I've seen competitions amongst they will organize different corporations into leagues and have get-togethers and all this kind of stuff, and they'll rent out space and so forth. Oh yeah, it's a thing.
Sony versus Hitachi.
Right? Yeah, basically. Yeah, yeah,
Beat the hell out of each other at badminton. Wow.
yeah.
Okay. Wow. Intramural
What was the
softball
name?
teams. Oh, here we go.
What was the name of the Kurt Russell Robin Williams movie, where the premise is that these two guys still live in the same hometown, but they lost the big game in high school because of Robin Williams dropped the ball,
don't
and then they
remember.
went to replay that particular game against the original players. So they get the team together. It's like getting the band together,
Right.
and they do the thing.
I don't remember that.
Bad news bears grow up. What?
And Patrick's correct or got a good point in the chat. The Olympics. That's where they're going.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, they're gonna
you go.
compete in the
There you
Olympics. That makes sense. Two more fantasy light novels are also inspiring anime adaptations this week. The Demon Sword Master of Excalibur Academy is light novels. They're inspiring a TV anime. The story follows Dark Lord Leonis, who wakes from a 1,000-year magical stasis and finds himself, of course, in the body of a 10-year-old boy. What happens next? Can you guess? After he wakes in a new body, what
He's
happens next?
unusually and unexpectedly powerful because of now sleep.
That's possible. Not
Yeah.
in my notes. He meets a cute girl.
Oh, I never saw that coming.
Right, exactly. Very surprising. And then decides to enroll in Excalibur Academy to uncover the mysteries of this era. Meanwhile,
Okay.
of course.
I'm gonna end up watching it. You know that.
I know, of course. Yeah.
Because I watched
No
it.
judgment. No judgment. Just we've seen this before.
It's a kind.
Yeah.
It's a kind.
Take a deep breath. I'm quitting heroing. Next gig is at the Demon Queen's Castle. Is also inspiring a TV anime. This one premiering in April. It centers on a great hero named Leo, who once saved the world from a demon army's invasion, but found himself feared and ostracized afterwards. Aww. And so, feeling his skills will be better appreciated elsewhere, he decides to join the Demon Lord's army that he once fought instead. So, sounds very serious. Shogakukan announced this week that the Blue Giant manga, which is a jazz-based manga, is inspiring an anime film sometime next year. It focuses on a basketball-playing student who finds his life changed the first time he sees a live jazz music performance, and he immediately decides to dedicate himself to the saxophone, despite having no training and skills, but he plays day after day.
And his neighbors want him dead.
Yeah. Nothing sounds better than amateur saxophone playing.
Well, I mean, isn't that one of the characters from K-On? She wants to play the guitar.
Yeah.
She wants to play the electric guitar, and they're like, okay, everybody else, plays an instrument. So how do you play? Do you play well? Oh, I don't know how to. And so they go through the whole process. And of course, she is amazing at learning how to play it to be spot on. So, saxophone, I imagine it's going to be the same kind of thing.
Of
It's
course.
no idea, but yet he's just so talented.
Exactly.
His
It'll be
basketball
kids
training
on the
skills.
slope.
Yes, it will,
Yeah.
Kids
but
on the
better because it'll have basketball.
There we are.
The kids
Sports
on the court.
anime crossed with jazz anime,
Exactly.
There you go.
right?
Playing saxophone while playing basketball. And he makes the three-pointer. Yay! Awesome.
Again, I want to see this. Speaking of wonderfully goofy, the Nichijou manga is returning to publication next week after a 6-year break. Yeah. The creator, Keiichi Arawi, revealed the news on Twitter on Wednesday, saying he felt like drawing Nichijou again. So he's going to start serializing it again.
There you go.
Cool. Good on him.
All you people that adored this and have been upset over 6 years, yeah, I'll do the thing again.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks.
Feel like it? Why
I
not?
feel like it should be like added on. And he goes, "Yeah, I stopped drinking, so I figured,
All that rich Ichijo money coming in, I was in a drug-fueled haze, and I finally came out of it. Needed more money. What?
meth rehab costs all."
This is true.
Meth is a hell of a drug.
Like anime.
Yeah, exactly. Although anime will ruin your life. Oh, sorry. Wait a minute. I said that too seriously.
That's all the news for this week. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Alrighty. Yeah, slow news week. There's not much going on, I will admit. But that's okay. It happens some weeks.
It's autumn. It's lovely out. There's all
Exactly.
kinds of beauty going on in nature. It's
Right. Don't watch anime. Go out and spend some time in nature.
Take your tablet outside into nature and watch anime.
Yeah, exactly. There we are. Perfect.
Watch Euro Camp, learn how to camp, and then go
There we
out
are.
and camp.
Yeah, totally.
There you go.
I just got my hammock and a hammock frame.
Ooh.
So that
did
will
you?
be part of my plan in this next week is to set up the frame, set up the hammock, and then
Nice.
sit outside because I can get the Wi-Fi signal out on the front porch.
Very
Sit
nice.
outside, nice, cool. Maybe put on an extra layer. Sit on my new hammock and watch anime. Oh,
Very
baby.
cool. Very cool.
Nice. Well, are you going to order out, or are you going to?
Oh no! Of all my eating places, I've only got 4 left to go, so I can knock those out in fairly decent order. And then once I'm done, I'm not going to redo any of my list of places I have eaten before.
Okay.
I'm not redoing.
Okay.
I've gained like at least a good 5 or 6 pounds.
I shouldn't laugh, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have not cooked. I looked in the freezer today. I'm like, wow, I have not eaten a single thing out of my freezer in like 8 days. I'm like, this is amazing. So yes, once this tour to Roanoke for the food, my foodcation comes to an end, it will end.
Fair enough. Back to salads and hard crusts of bread for you. For the
Back to
foreseeable future.
cereal, bland cereal, and ramen. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Fair enough.
Return to austerity.
Exactly. Congratulations, Patrick. Always fun having a significant other person in your life starting to watch anime with you. That's cool.
Good.
What you started watching? What's
Another has turned to the dark side.
Yeah, I'm curious what she's getting into. It's always funny finding like what was your first anime. I had a friend at work who we got to know each other and we had similar interests, and I found out that he liked anime. I was like, "What was your first anime?" He said, "Evangelion. Watched it in a weekend." I was like, "Oh,
The whole TV
yeah,
series?
the entire TV series in one weekend." Someone was like, "This was good. This is good. You should watch it." Okay.
That just hurt.
Wow.
Yeah.
That hurt.
Yeah.
I felt like someone punched me in the stomach just
Yeah.
now. Oh God! I mean, I
Yeah.
liked it.
And so, of course, my response
episode,
is, "And you still like anime?"
Like it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean that's
Impressive.
that's some fortitude to get through,
Yeah.
through that in a weekend.
Jesus.
I mean, with sleeping, bathroom breaks, and food included. I mean, that's every single second.
Yeah,
time.
pretty much.
Oh,
That's hard. That's hardcore otaku. Jesus.
Well, I mean, you think
Hey,
it's 12
the
hours.
1000th episode of One Piece.
Yeah.
That would be
That
the
would be
person
the
that would
hard
like.
There we
make
go.
it.
Mm,
I watched it in
yeah.
a week.
But
What?
it's 6 hours a day. When you think about it.
Yeah, but
And-
that's
and now I can't
powerful amount
blink.
to get through.
Exactly. Yeah. He said it was definitely an experience. Like it was. He would not recommend.
Yeah.
So Demon Slayer, great choice.
Yeah.
Some Konosuba and Darling in the Franxx.
very-
cool. Okay, yeah.
Sweet. That's quite a selection.
Yeah, that really is cool. Yeah, you never know what
Comes
folks are gonna
together.
like. You just never know what's gonna click.
Well, again, there's so many things to click on. Are you story motivated? Are you visuals motivated?
Yep.
Are you the literal mechanics motivated? Like we talked about all those new episodes, like interesting choices of like direction, interesting choices of like the layouts that they were doing, interesting choice of the just camera fixation. Is it background? Is it foreground? Is it character? Is it, all these different things that you can lock into anime. It just gives so much and asks so little. so call now and donate to your Venmo.
Funimation, only $8 a month.
Exactly.
Speaking of appreciating anime, let me tell you about something I like.
Ooh.
Which, funnily enough, one of you watched with me only a few months ago. Both of us together watched a good chunk of this. And I don't think anyone else
did it have
has
tentacles?
Seen this.
Oh no.
Kind of.
Oh my.
Oh dear.
I'll be very
different memory.
I'll be very impressed with anyone who has seen this. Not just in the sense of it's very obscure. It's very, very out there. Welcome to Brent's Anime Recommendation Corner, where I talk about anime I love, and today I'm talking about Arion, the anime film by Sunrise that is its take on ancient Greek myth. Yeah. So imagine Jason and the Argonauts style stuff with ogres and swords and shields and sandals and all that kind of good stuff done by the studio that made Gundam. Very much in the style of like early mid 80s Gundam. Character designs and directed by the character designer of original Gundam. So yeah, like there's a through line there. It's not just the same studio. And it's really interesting. It is this, on the one hand, they really try to make it feel like Greek myth, right? It is all the Apollo shows up, all the various characters, a whole bunch of gods show up. It is humans caught within this giant epic story of gods screwing over other gods. Let's be honest, that's kind of what they did. And interacting and kind of doing all their stuff with also the anime aesthetic very much there all the time, because you get all just this weird stuff of all the weird anime comedy, and the very serious shonen protagonist who is going to do his thing and get his revenge on the world at large, combined with just some really fun action sequences, again, very sword and sandals, Hercules style stuff. And then as you go through, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and more plot and more stuff going on. And again, just very Gundam style characters a lot of the time. And I'm deliberately not saying too much about the plot because I think it's part of the fun, is exploring how the plot evolves and where it goes. And ultimately, if you've seen a Hercules movie, you know kind of the overall tone and theme and approach of all this stuff. It's just that with, like, Amuro Ray, kind of. It's just all of these characters, like, that just looks like she should be piloting a giant robot. This is weird. And just all of these various things.
Shouldn't be Hera or Aphrodite.
Right, exactly.
Pilot a robot.
Right. I will also say it does not shy away from the creepier aspects of ancient Greek myth. Many of the themes that they're involved with in terms of attraction to people who might not be socially acceptable to be attracted to, or or abusive people, or people being trampled on by other folks in their society and so forth, and injustice, basically. A lot of injustice going on in this story. So that happens. It's not pleasant, but it's not meant to be pleasant. It's an interesting film. I should also point out, it is an anime film, so there is occasional nudity.
Yes.
And stuff that they might go like, oh, right, okay, yeah, you can do that. That's a thing you can do in Japan. Might not fly over here, but just one of those things, right? So this is one of those movies where if you're a teenager and you're watching it, your parents will walk in during one of these scenes. Right? And it's just gonna be like, no, it's not no, mom. But just be aware of that.
It's Greek history.
Greek history, right? Exactly. That's what happens. Not a lot of underwear in Greek history, apparently. So
Yeah, they didn't invent that until Roman times.
right, exactly, pretty much. Not gonna go there. Anyway, yeah, but it's just this giant Greek history kind of a thing, with a lot of cool stuff going on. It's a great ride as long as you know what you're getting into. Again, a very Hercules story, but with giant cannons for some reason. And there's a lot of
I remember those.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It feels like, it's one of the things I love about studios like Sunrise is they're like, if we're gonna do this, let's just go all the way. Like let's just really build off this and go for it. And they go for it. It gets big, but really fun. Big budget. A lot of cells being thrown at you, a lot of drawings being thrown at you. And because of Sunrise, a lot of classic Gundam voice actors in it as well. So if you like Gundam voice acting, you'll get that as well. Plot, again, kind of goes all over the place, but it is what it is. And it's a pretty long movie, as I recall.
It's a big, epic film. It
Yep.
has lots of space.
Yes, exactly. Full 2 hours. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yes, that's Arion. If you are interested in such things, it's a great ride.
Well, at what point did we drop in onto Otakon?
I'm actually
we
gonna pull it
missed
up
a
real
half
quick.
an hour or an hour of it.
Yeah, because I'm pulling in. We pulled in. Actually, it was fairly early on. I'm looking at it now. We came in and Arion was because he loses the ogre like pretty early on when we got there, right? Like the ogre gets
Okay.
pincushioned by arrows and falls down.
Yes.
And I'm looking at that is 10 minutes in.
Oh wow! So we saw. Wow, we did see a chunk of it.
Yeah.
So we saw the
did.
great vast majority.
Yeah. The first 10 minutes are basically his childhood, and the tragic backstory, for which he is nude for a significant chunk of it because anime.
No, because of ancient Greece.
Because of ancient Greece, right?
Everybody was naked,
Yeah,
apparently as well.
pretty much, yeah.
Clothing not having been invented until Rome.
Right, pretty much, yeah. So I
Thank goodness for the Romans.
right exactly. What do the Romans ever do for us? The
Clothing. Be grateful for.
all right. Apart from the clothing, what do the Romans ever done for us?
Sandals.
Okay, apart from the aqueducts, the medicine, the sandals, the clothing, what have the Romans ever done for us?
No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. Our three main. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm not going to go down that road around clothing and such in the ancient world because it's going to get me in trouble with YouTube and such.
Well, it's past 10.
It's past
But
10.
Arion was an interesting.
Okay, yeah.
We sat in on
Yeah.
it, and you were like, "Oh, this is that thing," and I'm like, "Yes, it is." I'm like,
Yep.
and it's surprised. I was surprised in not having any information about this ever before, about any Sunrise having done this.
Yeah.
That I was like, wow, okay, yeah. Now that you said it's Sunrise, and we're looking at this, I'm like, yes. It's like you couldn't have made it better, poster child for Sunrise. Look at how this is unfolding here. And yeah, I mean, it's not exactly the most tightly knit story. It covers a lot of stuff, but it was still really enjoyable.
Yeah.
I mean, we sat through it till the end, so it was good.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a fun ride. Yeah. Until, oh, my brother. Oh, my brother. Oh, my brother. It's like, oh, here
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah.
All right. But,
Suspension of revulsion. I mean, disbelief. You'll be fine. Get to the end of it.
let's talk about some history. There's been some history this week.
Woohoo! Ooh.
There we go. I keep forgetting which camera I'm on. Welcome to This Week in Anime History, where we talk about things that happened this week in anime history. A couple of things this week. October 22nd, so yesterday, back in 1958, Legend of the White Serpent premiered in Japan, aka Panda and the Magic Serpent, aka Legend of the Magic Serpent, aka there are so many titles of this movie. But the first full-color animated film in Japan, and one of the first big ones for toy animation to sort of get them off the ground and find big success in a big budget animated film. One of those movies that without which we probably would not have a big anime industry today, because it helped provide a lot of jobs for people and got folks into the industry, which is pretty cool. Yeah. I know, John, we've seen that. Steve, have you seen it? Did all three? Yeah, good. Yeah, because we all talked about it. Yeah. I couldn't remember. Yeah.
That was the one I couldn't find with subtitles.
Yeah, that's right.
The whole thing in Japanese. It's a good thing I'm a master of Japanese.
Exactly. Yes.
And we discussed it at the time. It's like this. The film is. It's so done in a particular style that for international release you didn't have to have it. You could follow the storyline entirely just by the way that it's animated. It's like it's beautifully done.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's very few, like you could not drop somebody in the High School of the Dead and no translation. They'd be like, what in the hell is happening in this?
I mean, I disagree with you there. I think High School of the Dead is one of the few you probably could, because it's like zombies. High schoolers,
right? But then their conversations, you're just
that's true.
Like,
yeah, you're absolutely right.
Who's talking about
true.
what to?
Yeah.
But no, Legend of the White Serpent. It's like you can tell just by the way that it's animated well enough that you can get some body read off of them, so you can figure out whether it's an intimate conversation or whether it's just a two people meeting strangers kind of conversation. It's like it worked really well. They obviously spent a lot of time thinking about this. And hallelujah, you know, if this is the hallmark of like. The advent of animation. It's like, yay, we have things to watch today because of things like that.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you're right, I looked up trying to find it, and there's like a list like half a foot long of just all the different names it was called. I'm like, why? Every time they released it somewhere else, they gave it a new name.
Yep, pretty much. Coming back to theaters, new name.
Released in Japan, released in Brazil, released in like Taiwan, released in stop renaming it.
Yeah, back before the days when people thought about international releases, when it's like, make them in Japan, then it'll whatever you figure it out.
Just get the kids in, get the money.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, it also helps. This is based on one of the four great tales of Chinese fairy tales, basically. So there are four that are considered kind of the classics, and this is one of them. So choosing an iconic tale, I think, also helps with that communication. Speaking of old anime, something that came along a mere 5 years later, on October 20th, 1963, Tetsujin 28 Go! Also known over here as Gigantor. That premiered back in Japan. I have a joke on that, which we'll get to later. The first giant robot series, in the sense that it was the first series with a giant robot main character, I'll put it that way. There were giant robots in other shows, but they were kind of side characters. And Tenshin 28 Go, also interesting for the fact that it was a weapon made to defeat the Allies in World War II. So, not controversial
that was a thing.
So it's thankfully unmothballed in the grand future year of, I think it was 1980, to defeat
crime.
Yeah, crime. And I watched an episode a while back, and it was basically like Cobra. It was like some terrorist organization operating out of some Antarctic base with like these giant these tanks, like remote controlled tanks that they were sending out, and so Gigantor would come along and destroy all the tanks so that people could go in. This was clearly made for 6-year-old boys, right?
Well, the little bits I've seen of it, it's like when you said, "Oh, this is the first like real robot." Like it didn't have like its own sentience. It didn't have its own feelings and anything. And it's like, I watched some of it. And I was like, but it has a face. Like,
it does.
Like it looks like it should be like, yes, little boy, I'll be able to defeat the enemy for you. But like, no, it's just a remote control thing with a friendly robot face.
Yeah, exactly. No, all you need is a little joystick and 2 buttons, and it's great. You can
If it worked for Atari, it'll
all
work
manner
for
of
us.
things.
Exactly. Yeah. It's great. It's wonderful. Yeah, and so that is this week in anime history. Not much, but a few things.
Some large shows on the landscape of anime. So.
Very much so.
Yes.
Very much so. Very much classic and important. So the joke is, and this is a long way to go for the joke. There's an episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000 which if you don't know, is about a bunch of guys sitting around making fun of cheesy movies. And I think one of my favorite episodes is called Girls Town. It's about a teenage girl going to a girls' reformatory place run by nuns, in place of her sister. It turns out, because of plot. The teenage girl in this case being played by Mimi Van Doren. Yes. And there's a shot of her walking up the stairs to the into the place, sashaying her hips, and the camera lingers, shall we say, on the rear end of Mimi Van Doren, at which point one of the riffers goes, Gigantor. And I just doubled over laughing at that one over here. Yeah.
Maybe Van Doren as a teenage girl at a reform school.
Oh, it gets better. The evil punk guy who ends up trying to blackmail her underage teenage sister about what happened. Basically, a guy fell to his death and accidentally, and he tries to blackmail her. Mel Torme. Yep. Mel Torme as evil punk guy who tries to get this. It is after 10. His plan, because girl accidentally pushed this guy to his death because he was being fresh with her. It's the 50s. He finds out about this
masher.
Yes.
Oh.
He finds out about this, blackmails her, and then says that arranges for her to go down to Mexico to do work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And there's a line in the movie where somebody goes, "You mean you're going to send an underage girl down there to do that?" And it's like, wow, like you're making it very clear to your audience what's going on here. Like, whoa, Mel Torme.
Wow. Okay. Huh. Well, they were going interesting places with that.
Yes,
It would take Russ Van Meyer another 10 years to capitalize on.
Yes, that is Girls Town. It is definitely a movie.
It's the prequel to the Valley of the Dolls or the Thunder Vixens. Beyond the Valley of the Thunder Vixens. Oh my!
I'm trying to remember. Actually, there was a. That is not the one I'm looking for. There was one from 1959. That's the one. Mimi Van Doren. And then of course there's a crooner that all the girls are swooning over, played by Paul Anka. So he's in there as well. Yeah, it's impressive. There's a lot going on.
So these people, this B-movie studio people were like, "Hey, you got nothing else on your schedule? You want to be in a film?" Oh.
I mean, let's be honest. That's how all the B movies were made. It's like, okay, all these schedules, fit. Write a movie, put them all in that, make that, see what happens. There was a guy who made westerns, who made a western a week.
Oh, jeez.
Just cranking them out.
Wow.
These are the stars where their CV just shows their A-list stuff. Yeah. Weren't you in that western? No, I was not.
As a matter of fact, no. Do you see it? Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Did you ever use a screen name called John Von John John? No, never. I've never known that person or ever been that person.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, aha.
Yeah. There's another joke from Girls Town. Again, you laughed. The movie opens with this girl running away from a guy out of a house, and he's running after her. And like the first riff of the movie is, "Oh, that Kennedy compound."
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy.
Anyway. So we have gone well away from anime. I have a question for all of you.
What did we learn on the show tonight, Brad?
We get better at it every week. We honestly
Yeah.
do. It's very, very
I've been
clear.
practicing.
Yeah.
Still need my.
I'm waiting.
Let's go for a Q sharp.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a double Z flat.
Gotta be in the right mood, the right frame of mind, man. Get those
Groovy,
notes.
man. Totally.
Yeah, totally. You see, the pen and then the pen, both combined together to be the word of God.
Three and one.
That is what I've learned today. Is that pen is God. Tonight no, actually, I think I honestly learned a deeper appreciation for what Anno was doing with Eva this time around. I think I really appreciated the film in a way that I think the first time around I was worried about what these rebuild movies would be, and coming back in I could kind of pick it apart a little bit better and appreciate what was going on. And so I think I learned that Anno knows what he's doing. Perhaps a bit too harsh, but
Thank God.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I also learned that there are people out there watching One Piece.
Yes.
Indeed they are.
Yeah, very much so. That is still going strong. I wonder now what the final episode count will be.
As long as it keeps paying, it will go on forever.
Mm-hmm. We will see.
Because clearly we have established that it will go on forever.
It will go on. Yeah, like my heart.
Yeah.
Steve, how about you?
Well, I don't learn. It's amazing that I can read.
And you never learn.
That was almost a spit take. You almost got me there.
I've learned that Anno can make an Evangelion thing without me screaming at the television, throwing things at the television, then getting drunk and annoying my neighbors next door. So Evangelion cleaned up well. Actually, this first one, in all seriousness, it's actually a nice change of pace to watch this. I've learned that I didn't say anything about this earlier, but I've learned that I am actually quite capable of creating a comedy, not comedy. I don't even think it's funny, but I did it anyway. Thing of Disney Plus presents Higurashi. So I actually made that. It's only about 30 seconds long. And I actually sing.
Okay, good.
Was it? It's a small world after all.
Good.
Just a few bars of it.
Okay, great.
So
Great.
you'll be able to see that in my little Halloween compilation thing. That's coming up. And along with I've learned that if I stay up late enough, I'll make hastily made A&Vs to Eagles of death metal music. So and I've learned that what is the final thing that I've learned? The final thing I've learned is that I totally missed the boat on One Piece.
Very good, Steve. Very, very witty of you.
As
Well
all
done,
the, as
Steve.
everyone in chat
Well
land
done.
just goes, as everyone in chat land just, oh god, why do we listen to this guy?
John?
Well, other than appreciating the Evangelion films for their cleanup from the TV series, which I was
Nude Goncho Evangelion. Use the full name.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, what is it? The Gurien Lagann it's top Topan, whatever I call it, top 10 Gurren Lagann. just for the
Great.
heck of it, because I love watching people cringe at like cons and stuff. Be like, oh. So using Evangelion, I'm sure it just would be the same cringeworthy. I'm enjoying the cleanup and the artistic presentation of the Eva films more than I ever did the TV series. So I've learned that I can again appreciate things that are outside the story itself necessarily. Appreciate other things. And while One Piece is impressive, I am still extremely impressed that Nichijou, after 6 years, is getting a comeback. And it's like, what if that was a fun show? So hopefully that means that we'll get more Nichijou anime in the future too. I hope. I have a lot of hope.
Yeah.
And I learned that you don't have to necessarily go anywhere on vacation. You can just eat your heart's content,
This is true.
and that's a good vacation too.
Absolutely. I can't think of a better way of ending it. Thank you all so much. Have a great one. Enjoy. See you next week for Eva 2.0. Or 2.22 or whatever.
2 point something.
Yes.